Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93.
Well, forget the weekend. It's all over with. Time to dial in, Josh, for a fresh episode of the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. You got that look in your eye.
Which one? That I'm good to go?
Yeah.
All right, good.
You've got that look that tells me you're dialed in and you're, you know it's time. You naturally have that killer instinct.
That eye of the tiger.
Yeah, well, it could be this new medicine I tried yesterday.
Ooh.
I'm on cat medicine right now.
What?
Yeah, I'm taking medicine designed for house cats.
Tell us all the background on this. Yeah, because I noticed you had that look in your eye that told me you were ready to go.
Well, I brought you in a dead mouse. I wanted to show it to you.
But it did look a little off.
Yeah. It's the cat medicine.
Welcome, everyone, to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show, and this is so exciting. I'd love to hear this story behind why a grown man with a beard, you're a father.
I am, yes.
Your best friends with me now for 30 years. Why would you be on cat dope?
Well, as a grown man,
with a beard.
With the beard and everything you said.
Right.
For whatever reason, from time to time, I get these ear infections.
Sure.
And last week I knew one was coming, right? I knew something was going to happen, but I thought maybe I'll dodge it, and I did it. Severe pain Friday and Saturday. And when I went to the ear, nose, and throat specialist the last time, she prescribed some medication, and it was this tiny little bottle of drops. And even with insurance, it cost me $90.
This was last time around.
This was maybe a year ago.
Okay.
So
you didn't want to do that again. $90.
No, wait. So what happened at that time, for whatever reason, I don't really ever do this, but I just Googled the ingredients in it because I thought, my God, $90. Is there gold? What's going on in here? And as I Googled all the ingredients, what popped up was a larger bottle at PetSmart of the exact same thing.
Oh, yeah.
like the same amount, like quantity of every ingredient, too? That's crazy.
Yeah, the blend is all the same,
What?
but I have like 10 times as much for $20.
You've brought this up before off air, I think. This all sounds very familiar, or maybe I know someone else who's
No,
had
I brought it up to you off air.
Okay. You considered taking cat medication for your ear before.
I'd asked the lady when I went back for a follow-up, and I said, hey, just out of curiosity, I saw this. Would I go blind or develop cat-like reflexes or something if I took it? She's like, no, you know what? Sometimes I'll even tell people, hey, go to PetSmart or whatever and grab this. So this is no medical advice. This is one experience I had with a doctor. She seemed legit. And I tried it out yesterday, so I'm on day one of cat medication. So maybe that's what you're picking up on.
I really hope tomorrow you come in wearing a full Catwoman suit. Like it just takes over your body and your personality.
I walk in tomorrow, he's burying a turd in the corner of the room. That's really interesting. Okay. You had brought this up before off air. You've been considering taking this cat medication because, yeah, just like you just got done telling us, it is so much less expensive at the PetSmart than it is at your doctor's office.
Right.
Same ingredients. A doctor tells you it'll probably give you the same results. And so you've gone for it.
That's not surprising because it's like that, I guess. My dog is on a couple medications, and it's cheaper for me to get her the human version, I guess you could say. So they have the same ingredients there.
Yeah, we have a dog on medication, and it's very expensive.
In your case,
Dana,
Ashley,
Dana's got a laser pointer, and it's distracting the hell out of me. I can't focus on this conversation.
if a ball of yarn rolls through the room right now, we're in big trouble. So you're saying, Ashley, you found that a certain dope that your dog needed to be on, the human stuff was cheaper than the dog stuff?
Yep.
But Josh's situation, the cat stuff was cheaper than the human stuff.
Yeah, because this is over the counter. But I've also heard just what you said, Ashley, that sometimes, like when it's prescribed medication, it's so much more for your pet.
Yeah, it's worth checking it out, I guess, both ways.
Over the counter versus prescribed. Yeah, this is all not something that I have too much knowledge on one way or the other. So just for today, your nickname is not Cubby. For today, it's Tunsis.
I love it.
How do you feel? Any different?
Well, I feel silly that I took cat medication.
Is
but
it helping?
It has helped.
It has helped.
It could be a coincidence, but it sure seems to feel a little better.
Is this going to be a slippery slope? Like someday soon you're going to be on horse tranquilizers or something like that? You know, you just go through all the animal, different medications.
Ivermectin or whatever that stuff is called.
Ivermectin or something?
I do have a rectum, by the way. I have a rectum.
We all do. Everybody's got one, Josh.
Even women?
Well, I'll tell you what. That's really interesting, but
I suppose Dr. Andrea, our resident vet, has told us before she prescribes Prozac to cats and dogs who need
that's
it.
right.
she'll be here Thursday, and I bet she'll be very interested in hearing your situation.
Maybe she can give me a checkup now.
Yeah. How often are you pouring cat medication into your ear hole?
I just started last night.
But what are you supposed to do, twice a day?
I don't know. I didn't even read it.
You didn't
I'm
read
just kind of going by, I think when I took them last time, I did it a couple times a day.
I bet you Dr. Andrea is going to be very interested in hearing all about this. It's a great story, but also my concern shifts back to your overall general health. How is it that you are the cleanest sumbitch that I know, but your immune system is completely broken and you are always sick?
I don't know.
Are you a hypochondriac?
Not at all. I'm the opposite. Never. I still don't really worry about it or do anything you're supposed to do, but I never got sick until like 4 years ago, ever.
I think
does it make you want to throw away some of this healthy lifestyle and maybe start, coming over to the dark side? Because why bother being so healthy when it's not working? Have you considered taking up smoking or drinking or drugs
not really.
or horrible fatty foods? Because maybe you should. Maybe that would bring you back the other way.
Yeah, Josh, the three of us could bring you to some dive bars that would really just kind of set your immune system up. Because once you've been exposed to these places, you'll be just fine.
Well, I don't want to jinx myself, but I haven't had anything going on for a year. I actually just I was looking back through my medical chart just to see. I couldn't remember the name of the drops. Or
the
what
guy
was in
even
it.
looks at his medical chart.
Because yesterday,
I wouldn't even know how to access that.
I had to yesterday for a couple reasons. You guys know I had my butt scoped, so they sent me my things, and I thought, hey, while I'm here, I'm just going to look back and see what they prescribed me for my ear, just so I can Google it again. That's how I found it.
So you're saying it has been a relatively good year?
Oh, it's been over a year.
Up until...
Yeah, I had a period of 3 years where it was ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. I still think
4 times COVID, 1 time bad flu, another time like some sort of weird bacterial fungus. It was odd.
You're always sick, but yet you're
Not anymore. Yeah.
Well, the last few years have been ridiculous.
Right.
Yet you're the healthiest guy that I know. Remember the conversation we had a week ago or so? We were talking about, I think it was Royce Lewis of the Minnesota Twins, how the guy can never stay on the ball field. And we talked about how some of these guys overtrain.
Yeah.
To where they're constantly trying so hard to be in shape, and in the end, maybe they're kind of fracturing themselves a little bit along the way. You know what I'm talking about? They overtrain.
Yeah, their bodies are wound so tight that it just snaps at any given point.
They're too clean. They're too pure. And so maybe that's kind of the same theory with you, where you've overdone the healthy lifestyle, and it's coming back to pound on you.
It could. Well, my doctor said I'm just getting old. That's pretty much what it is. This person said, I used to suffer from ear infections. You need to find yourself a good chiropractor. Trust me, I suffered with ear infections for years, found a good chiropractor, haven't had one in 20 years now.
That's what my mom had me do when I was a child. I used to get really bad ear infections, and they were going to put tubes in my ears. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
And instead, my doctor was like, "Nah, take her to see a chiropractor first. Let's see if that works." And I've never had an ear infection since then. Since I was a kid.
Total scam.
I will say,
Chiropractors.
I got yelled at quite a bit at the chiropractor though, because one of the things that they always did was crack my neck, and that was the time I was in like middle school, so I always had chewing gum in my mouth, and I wouldn't remember until after they cracked my neck, and they'd yell at me because obviously you shouldn't be chewing gum while they're cracking your neck because it's a choking hazard.
Oh. That never would have entered my mind. No. Oh, for God's sake. Old Tunsis over there.
I'm starving for some canned food if anybody has any.
Dude, come on over to my house.
Yeah. If we rolled some catnip in there, are you just going to go crazy?
Come on over to my place. I've got...
Get the zoomies. Do cats get the zoomies? Or is that just dogs?
I think they both
Do they?
do. I can't stand that wet cat food. It just makes me want to puke every single time.
Smells pretty
so
bad.
gross.
And I feed that damn cat of ours twice a day. And I can't stand handling that stuff, but I do like the cat enough to where I have decided to continue feeding him. But I can't stand that wet. Oh, God, it
We do dry.
smells all. Well, we do
Dry
both.
stuff?
Yeah.
Ah, man. Well,
I'll let you know if there's any other symptoms. You know,
Yeah.
if I cough up a fur ball or something like that.
Right. You didn't find yourself wandering the hallways in the middle of the night last night at home singing out loud, did you?
No, I don't think so.
Singing really really off-key as well. Terribly off-key. That kind of thing.
Do you have a deep hatred for the day Monday today and a hankering for lasagna by chance?
Well, lasagna I could always go for.
Right, yeah.
Mondays, I take them or leave them.
Oh, listen to this from Porno Jesus. It's like those stories where the workout guru of the neighborhood, who's always out running every day in the gym, or, running outside every day or at the gym, suddenly drops dead of a massive heart attack.
You do hear those stories.
Oh, I hear them quite often. Unfortunately, my wife works at a gym.
Happened to a family friend of ours many years ago. He was the guy who was always jogging down the sidewalk.
That pissed me off.
The guy did drink, and I think he did smoke cigarettes a little bit, but
That helps a little. I would just be so mad if I lived my life super clean and took really good care of myself and died really young from something health related.
That would make you mad?
Yeah.
If you died really young?
If there's an afterlife and I'm looking down, like I'm pissed off. If my last meal was like a salad, I'd be pretty ticked.
Yeah, me too. This was the late 70s. Nowadays, when I just got done telling you that this guy jogged, but yet he drank and smoked also, there probably a few people said, oh, well, there you go. He drank and smoked. People are so geared towards... This was the late 1970s where...
That was normal.
Yeah, and, it just... it was really shocking in those days. And I'm talking about a light drinker and a light smoker. I'm not talking about a regular, but, yeah, the poor guy dropped dead.
Hot Cocoa Jesus recommends I get a flea collar because I haven't had flea shots yet. She wants to know if I'm itchy. I do have kind of a weird itch on my shoulder. Maybe it's starting there.
On the shoulder. Oh, well, there you go. A couple of text messages came in right away this morning. I believe this is March Madness Jesus who texted in to say, Happy Monday, fruitcakes. And he means that he directs that at everyone, he says here, except for Josh, Nick, Dana, Randy, Brad, Janelle, and C. Willie Miles.
Finally.
Well, that just leaves one of us, I think,
Yeah.
that he's calling a fruitcake.
Oh,
Usually you get excluded from
yeah,
that.
look at that.
We get the insult.
Changing it up.
And John Deere Jesus texted in to say, Good morning, you bunch of drunks. You're a friggin' drunk. Spent a lot of time in the motor vehicle over the weekend, Josh.
Made a road trip, did you?
Couple of them. Up to Aiken and back.
See your mom?
Saw my mother. And yesterday, for the first time in my life, I visited a little town called Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. I don't think I had ever in my life been to Blooming Prairie. Probably drove around it, maybe through it years ago, but never
heard of it.
Oh,
Really?
You never heard of the awesome blossoms of Blooming Prairie?
No?
It's down
I bet you have, and you're just
Owatonna. You got to go through Faribault, Owatonna. You keep going that way, then you go this other way. Blooming. I was there for a celebration of life. Blooming Prairie, Minnesota. Thank you. I had a nice time.
According to Wikipedia, it's an American city located in Minnesota.
That's how it goes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if we needed that information, Dana, but
I think he was making a reference to a former coworker of ours.
On my way down that way on 35 when we went through Owatonians, get back to me here real quick, or anyone from that general area, or anyone who knows what I'm talking about. 651-989-9393. I was looking for it as we were going through Owatonna on 35. Is the Jungle still in operation down there? There was a bar with a stage that hosted live music now and again back in the day off of 35 in Owatonna called The Jungle. If you can text me back and tell me if that's still the thing, I suppose I could use the internet, but I'm not that skilled with it just yet to do it live on the radio.
Just yet, you're getting there.
I don't know. The Jungle. Josh is relaxed now. Just everyone remain at an even keel and let Josh rest.
Ashley's petting me behind the ear.
My cat does really enjoy my pets.
Years ago, I went down to Owatonna to that joint called The Jungle to see a few hard rock bands, and it was one of the most lawless scenes I'd ever been a part of. And I was curious if it was still there. Okay, Master Electrician is texted to say, yes, it's now a wedding venue. I imagine they no longer call it The Jungle anymore if it's a wedding venue.
So it's called the Monterey Ballroom.
Okay,
Fancy.
Cool. Okay, yeah, here it is. It's the Monterey. Thank you, Dana. It's the Monterey Ballroom. They host weddings now. The Jungle is no more. Ah, damn. I appreciate, though, you getting back to me because I was looking for it and I couldn't spot it. Josh, this was, oh, God, it had to have been 20 years ago, maybe a little less. I went down there for this 4 or 5 bands starting, I think it was a Sunday, and I think it started sometime in the afternoon and went into the evening. Warrant was there, I can tell you that much.
How long ago?
Oh, nearly 20 years ago.
So Janie Lane was...
Janie Lane was still alive. He was there. I'm fairly sure Jackal was part of the setup.
Nice.
But anyway, I just wanted to make sure. What I remember about that friggin' joint, now that it's gone, here's some more people texting in. Fat Boy Jesus says, no, it's been gone for years, but what a fun place. What I remember about that joint, God, I wish I could remember the other bands that were on the bill. For sure, it was Warrant and Jackal. There were so many people slugging beer inside that joint that afternoon into the evening that enough beer got spilled on the floor that by about 7 or 8 o'clock at night, there was about an inch and a half of beer on the floor.
Ew.
That everyone was slipping on. I even fell on my ass.
What was going on?
It was just, like I said, I don't know. It was just one of the most lawless, crazy scenes I'd ever been to. All these southern Minnesota yokels jammed into this joint for 4 or 5 80s rock bands. There was an inch and a half of beer just spilled on the floor. Those were fun times.
Yeah, I don't know if I've certainly been to places where the floor is awful damp and sticky, but I've never seen something like that.
No, never. That's
It's like
so
standing
gross.
water.
Every cup comes with a hole in it.
Like we referenced last week, you needed the high waters, those pants to
I've got some.
keep your ankles dry from the beer.
Catastrophe Jesus has texted in to say this conversation about the Jungle in Owatonna makes him miss Pavlitsky's off of 65. That's up where you grew up, is it? No. I'm sorry. Ashley, you were a North St. Paul person?
Yep.
For whatever reason there for a second, I thought you were a Spring Lake Park person.
No.
Yeah, Pav's up off of 65, absolutely.
Were they like that? I'd only been there a couple times. I think I'd only been there twice, and that was just to come see you when you used to be there constantly.
No, that was Pav's Andover.
Oh, that's even a different one?
Yeah,
that's right. They had two, didn't they?
Pavlitsky's up
Which is the one that became a Walmart?
Pav's in Andover.
Okay, that's the one I was at.
Pavlitsky's off of Highway 65, so that had live music. That had live music as well back in the day. Oh, no. Pav's off of 65. A buddy of mine used to live, you could walk to the joint from his place. Oh, this dude. This is my buddy who I've explained before, the old ex-iron worker who looks like Dale Earnhardt Sr.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who once stole someone's boat and then unhitched the trailer going 70 miles an hour to destroy the person's boat and the wildest sumbitch ever. He used to live up off 65, so he lived real close to Pav's. And one day, just to give you an idea, again, of this guy and the type of personality he had, back when he was an iron worker, he was in pretty good shape. You had to be. And he went to Pav's off of 65 with his sister, who is still a very attractive blonde. And there's my bro sitting with his sister at Pav's, and he didn't like the way a couple of guys across the bar were looking at his sister. And his sister noticed this too. These guys were kind of checking her out, and she even said to him a couple times, like, just ignore them. It doesn't bother me. And he's like, oh, these sumbitches are staring at you. So that was the setup. His sister begins telling some story, and all of a sudden she looks at her brother, and he has rolled up the sleeve on, the right sleeve of his T-shirt, and he was flexing for the guys across the bar, as if to say, if you want to mess with my sister, you got to go through this. And she said, oh, my God, will you roll down your sleeve? What are you doing?
Don't do that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, showing his right arm to the boys across the bar.
That's so cheesy.
Exactly.
Were you or your brother ever overprotective of your sister? I suppose she's older, and she's pretty tough.
No, we never cared. No. That was her problem.
Yeah, I never really had much of a reason or an opportunity to.
Well, we were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, weren't we? Overprotective dads and brothers.
Oh.
What do you mean you never had a reason to?
I don't know. There was just never a situation where it really seemed like she needed the help.
I get it. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, someone was at that show I was discussing from the jungle all those years ago, and thank you for reminding me. Rat was there as well.
Oh, dude.
Cool.
It was Rat, and it was Jackal, and it was Warrant, and I'm missing somebody else because I know it was 4 or 5 bands. What else is going on around here? We've got more passes to jump on our booze cruise. We can throw that out there today. So other than the earache that has forced you to become addicted to cat medication, your weekend was all right, Josh?
No real complaints, just a minor one. But outside of that, no real complaints.
Good.
My minor complaint is this.
Oh, you have? Oh, so
Yeah,
the
I
ear
do-
wasn't the minor
No,
complaint.
this is something.
Oh, I'd love to hear it.
And I'd like to bond together with other people with what I like to call full-figured feet. Well, that's intimidating. He's showing me his muscle.
Wow. Just in case I am your minor complaint. Let me just show you what you're doing. Ashley, look at this subject.
That's terrifying.
Look at that. Okay, sorry.
I have full-figured feet, as you guys know, wide block feet.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
do.
very tough
Yeah.
to find
You do.
shoes.
They're funny looking.
I don't know why we're persecuted against. It's almost impossible to. I need new shoes for our booze cruise. I
You
got to
need-
get my shoes are falling apart.
Okay, you
So I
need
need some new outdoor
pair
shoes.
Of tennis shoes.
Yeah. And so I try some on, and I got these fat feet, and it's tough to find. And
You went shoe
I
shopping.
have the same problem, Josh.
you have fat feet, or
I
is
have-
it just
I have
because of your
wide
pregnancy?
feet. No, I've always had wide feet.
You have full-figured feet as well.
Yep.
All right,
from
so
my mother.
you were trying on some shoes. None of them were working.
No, like you know how like sometimes
Did you try Payless?
these shoes rule, and then sometimes these shoes suck.
Oh, without a doubt.
They all sucked.
Did you try?
it's
Did
the
you go to
worst.
Payless
I don't even know where a Payless is.
I don't either.
A mall, an abandoned mall.
I got to pay more.
After you've traveled back in time, that's where you find a Payless.
Yeah, you're
right.
looking. Oh, yeah, you just want to take a turn at 1987.
Yeah, it's right. It's usually right next to Piccadilly Circus and
Kmart.
J.C. Penney. So what happened? What happened?
I can't get. I gotta wait. I had to go online and hopefully these ones work. I had to order from special fatfeet.com.
Yeah, you have to get wide.
It's ridiculous.
They better be good then if you went through all that trouble. You better impress some people on our. You need new shoes for the booze cruise.
Yeah, we'll see if it works out for me.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of pressure. Everyone's going to be looking at your shoes now, Josh.
I'll tell you, though.
I'm okay with that.
You ain't lying about how some shoes suck and then some shoes rule.
Yeah, I told you the last time I went and bought shoes, and my wife is very picky, I've just learned, about what I can get. There's a certain brand she said I couldn't get.
There's a certain brand of tennis shoe.
Apparently it's not cool enough.
She's, what's the word? She's forbidden you.
Yeah, she wouldn't let me get them.
What were they?
They're just a certain. I don't want to rip this brand because I like them.
Well, just because your wife doesn't like them doesn't mean you're ripping the brand.
She told me that I can't get Skechers.
Skechers.
She said that it's not okay to get Skechers.
I have also been made fun of for purchasing Skechers.
Well, they're very comfortable.
And I said I thought that was New Balance, and she's like, no, New Balance are cool now. So they've made a change. But I told you the last time I went and bought shoes for myself, this is 3 years ago maybe, I brought them up to the very friendly old lady at Kohl's. And she's like, oh, my gosh, these shoes are great. So I said, thank you very much. I picked them up myself. And she's like, I'm wearing the exact same ones.
Yeah.
I thought, son of a gun.
I went out and bought myself a pair of Skechers 10-some-odd years ago. And the girl I was seeing at the time said, I will not be going anywhere with you if you are wearing these shoes. And I said, why? And she said, because they make you look like an old man, is what she said to me.
I didn't get him. Like, this seems kind of stylish, and this one fits okay.
In the end, it was wishful thinking that I would ever wear shoes. Back in those days, I never wore shoes. It was flip-flops or nothing. So I never ended up wearing them, actually, and I gave them to Goodwill. But
I don't get that because
she said that that's just what the old men wear, and I won't be seen with you with those shoes on your feet.
But current NFL quarterback Joe Montana advertises for Skechers.
That young kid, Joe Montana. I remember one time Josh and I were at the shoe store, and you asked the shoe seller, what would I call that person?
Associate.
The store employee.
Yeah.
You asked the store employee how much a pair of shoes were, and the employee said, well, they're this amount of money, but you can't wear those shoes. The employee said to Josh. That employee said, your feet are too big. And Josh said, oh. F you, didn't you?
Yeah, I screamed it over and over. I'm embarrassed by my response.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Brotherhood. Keen, K-E-E-N, everyone's saying, for full-figured footists like myself. Those are the good shoes to
All
get.
right, sweet.
And somebody else says his wife says he has Fred Flintstone feet. Yeah, I always say that about my own as well. I've got big, fat, 2x4 Fred Flintstone feet.
That's what my mom's always called our feet.
Big, fat,
or hobbit feet.
Yep.
Big fat feet and cat medication running through his veins. We'll talk to Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder a little bit later on this morning. When we come back, we'll get to the stupid news. We'll return here in a few minutes on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
I am Michael Rosenbaum.
I am Tom Welling.
Welcome to Talkville,
where it's fun to talk about Smallville.
We're going to be talking to sometimes guest stars. Are you liking the direction Lois is going in?
Yeah, because I'm getting more screen time.
It's good. But mostly it's just me and Tom remembering.
I think we all feel like there was a scene missing here.
You got me, Tom.
Let's revisit it. Let's look at it. See what we remember.
See what we remember.
I had never been around anything like that before. I mean, it was so fun.
Talkville. Talkville.
I just had a flashback.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Let's get into it.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Everybody should feel good this morning for school bus. I'll get there. School busing. Kai Jesus. Feel good for that gentleman this morning. He texted in to say this week is his ultimate F-off week.
Oh, that's great.
He's working today, he's working tomorrow, and then he's done. Because school is done after tomorrow, he says.
Nice. Congrats.
You don't sound that excited for the guy.
I am. I'm excited. Jealous.
She's tired.
Excited.
I think jealous is probably the key word there.
Yeah.
I kind of feel the same way about my wife. Now she has summer off. Sounds delightful.
And she's not going to do anything?
No.
Do something. Have you had that conversation? Have you looked into her eye and said, look, do something?
Get out of the house. I'm trying to take a nap with the dog here. Come on now.
I've known or dated a couple teachers, and they'll get a summer job. Maybe they'll work at a store, or a friend of mine was a golf pro. You know, he's out there on the links.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Why doesn't she get a summer job?
Typically she does.
She's got summer teeth.
I don't even know what that means.
Me either.
You never heard that one before?
No. What are summer teeth?
Summer teeth and summer not.
Yeah. Maybe you got to be our age to know that joke.
Why doesn't she get a summer job?
Sometimes, some years she either teaches summer school or she does like continued education where she takes classes and stuff like that because people want to learn things these days, I guess, apparently. I don't. But no, this summer she says she's going to do nothing, and I'm on board for it. I'm proud of her.
You're so friggin' whipped, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Off air, you said something completely different. You were enraged.
Just whipped.
He was throwing things around.
Crying.
Stand up for yourself once in a while, will you?
What does that have to do with me standing up for myself?
Teenage
kids. You can
kids,
just hear the pain in your voice.
I can hear the pain. I can hear the pain. Let's discuss the teenage kids here real quick. All of them heading off, raising hell in the summertime already. School is out. I noticed something different last night already since school let out in my neighborhood. 10 o'clock last night, Josh. I'm lying down to bed. By damn. Had my blinds still open. Car after car whipping down my neighborhood street. 10 o'clock at night. I said, friggin' school's out.
Yeah, high schoolers?
Yeah, they're going to a kegger down the friggin' street. Probably thrown by Dana's wife because she can't get herself a damn job for the summer. She just throw keg parties. Teenage kids these days, they aren't nearly as cool as we were. And they get a little squirrely now and again. Josh is terrified of teenage kids.
Always have been. Always. If I see teenage kids, I'm walking on the other side of the street. I've got 911 dialed on my cell phone.
Summer teeth, Dana. Some are here, some are there. A day or two ago in Connecticut, cops spotted a teenage kid going 32 miles an hour down the highway.
That's quite a clip.
I've never come close to that. 132 miles an hour. Did you go 132 miles per hour, Josh, when you had one of those motorcycles?
I think the statute of limitations has expired, so yeah. I'm not proud of it. But...
Faster than 132 miles an hour?
Yeah.
What the hell was wrong? What was wrong with you? Why would you do that?
I had a need for speed.
Yeah.
I can't picture.
Don't ever say that again.
I was fast and not really in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I was fast and happy.
That's so funny because I can't picture you today doing something like that.
No, I never
No,
would.
not at all.
I'm a different person.
Yeah, you really are.
Well, I mean, I've mentioned before, I just did not care. I didn't care.
About your life?
No, just not necessarily that, but like speeding tickets. I was I wasn't aware enough of all the terrible things that could happen. Sure, I knew at 145 miles an hour, if a raccoon runs in front of me,
You're dead.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I knew you back then. You weren't a reckless person.
No, I just stuff like that. I really enjoyed, but I take it easy.
Well,
now.
that makes me nervous.
I got lucky. I mean, I really did. I crashed once, and it wasn't too bad. I broke a toe and screwed up my motorcycle. That was about it.
Ouchie.
But yeah, it could have been worse for sure.
I've never gone 132 miles an hour.
No.
Yes, I was Mountain
That's
Mayhem.
scary.
Jesus, I was fast and curious. What? Yeah, the fastest I ever noticed was about 146.
Dude.
Going over the bridge on Cedar there, 77, over the river on my way to Apple Valley. And I was wearing a windbreaker, and it was a little oversized.
Members only?
No, I don't know what it was. Champion, I'm not sure what it was.
Ooh, those were popular, yeah.
And I'm wearing this windbreaker, and I'm a slighter individual, despite the body shaming you give me every day. And the wind caught me just right, and I was almost a parachute, and I thought I was going to fly right off that thing.
Like one of those flying squirrels?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what I look like. That gave me pause, for sure, but I wanted to just kind of crank it. And maybe a bridge wasn't the best place to do it because it was windy on that son of a gun.
And nobody cranks it like you, Josh.
Oh, I'll crank it.
All of this just makes me nervous. That's all it does. A day or two in Connecticut, like I was saying, the cops spotted a teenage kid. This was driving a regular motor vehicle. He wasn't on a motorcycle. He was going 132 miles per hour down the highway.
The fastest I've ever driven in a car was with you, and that was by accident. We've told it many times on our way to training camp back when it was in Mankato.
We were probably going around 100.
Yeah, maybe even a little more. I'm trying to remember what the cops... I thought he said we were like doing 120-something. He could not have been a nicer guy when he's pulling over a couple dudes at 3 in the morning going 100 and whatever.
Yeah, jeez.
In a car that wasn't yours, right?
No, it wasn't mine.
So sketchy.
It was a girlfriend's. That was a surprise, though. Neither one of us knew we were going that fast.
I
Thank
just get
God
too
you looked
nervous.
at the speedometer. Going that fast?
Yeah, I can't do it. Maybe like 85 is like the highest I feel comfortable with. Past that, I get nope.
Like in a
squirrely.
70?
Huh?
In a
yeah,
70?
yeah.
Oh, man. All right, I can't help it. Tonka Tig Welding Jesus just texted in on the topic of Dana's new wife refusing to help the family by getting a job in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
She's a teacher. Doesn't think she should contribute at all in the summer.
Lazy.
Well, she's married now. That's the difference. She used to have summer jobs.
Dana's working. I mean, what if you said, I don't want to work either? Anyway, Tonka Tig Welding Jesus texted in with a little video clip. What do they call it these days? A wag?
GIF?
A whiff? A whiff? What are
GIF?
they? A
GIF?
Of Smokey from the movie Friday, where Smokey turns to his mother and says, clean up or do something. Anyway, thank you for that. For those of you who understand the reference, that's a lot of fun for me, Tonka Tig Welding Jesus. Okay, we got to get to this. Teenage kid, 132 miles per hour in a motor vehicle. He was swerving all around, up and down. Violent movements, hammer down, giving her hell. Asmir is the kid's name, they found out later. As F me running. Mir, a 19-year-old. He was driving a Mercedes E300, whatever that is. It sounds fancy. The Mercedes belonged to his folks. Word is the cops gave chase for a brief stretch of time, but the kid wasn't stopping for Dick. Asmir drove even faster to get away from the fuzz. So you've heard this gimmick before. The cops canceled the chase. They were afraid that the kid was about to kill himself and maybe even kill a few dozen other people in the process. The police eventually got a hold of Asmir on the telephone. And they said, hey, bitch, we're coming over to arrest you. They told him they don't appreciate him putting everybody at risk by driving like a friggin' hard-on at 130 miles per hour and making him chase him. The cops asked the kid, what are you, stupid or something? Why were you driving like such a bitch? And the kid said, yeah, sorry. I was driving that fast. He admitted it. He also admitted to being a bitch. And he said he didn't stop going 132. He didn't stop even when the cops were pursuing him because he was, quote, late for a job interview.
Oh, thank God Dana's wife is safe. She will not be in this same position this summer.
He told the police he was running late for a job interview. Now, I hope that was just a terrible lie and the kid really wasn't dumb enough to risk his life and the lives of other drivers because he had an interview set up at Hot Topic or something like that. Asmir surrendered to police. He was charged with reckless driving, engaging police in a pursuit like a bitch, and reckless endangerment.
I would say, that's something we were just talking about, like, driving behavior back in the day. That's something I never considered. I was too dumb to realize I could hurt someone else. I just thought, well, if I put myself at risk, fine. But
well, I'll tell you what.
I never considered.
Cubby, there were certainly lots and lots and lots of things that I did as a young person where I didn't consider the risk to other people as well.
Definitely.
Like, say, when we were 10th graders and we would drive 85 miles per hour in a residential neighborhood and then kick a television out the back of the pickup to watch it jump into people's yards and explode into the side of their homes and things like that. I suppose we weren't really thinking about the safety of others in that situation either.
Yeah, you're not thinking about it.
That's a little crazy.
It was probably the single dumbest thing we ever got involved in.
It kind of sounds fun, though. I get it. Sounds appealing.
It was friggin' stupid.
Oh, really?
I mean, we called it runaway TVs.
You had a name for it.
You have to.
Where'd you get the TVs?
From our parents' house.
Oh, really?
Suddenly one day...
Furious.
No, I mean, they weren't working television.
Oh, okay.
Suddenly, one buddy of mine shows up at school with this big, massive, and this was, the late 80s, so these were televisions from the 70s. Big, massive box televisions. You remember the ones that, you
could kill a man.
You couldn't put them on a table. They were thousands of pounds. They had to sit on the floor.
You and I both had like a 30-some-inch television that weighed over 300 pounds.
Right.
Just
with
ridiculous.
The massive wood framing. Anyway, if you're older, you know what we're this friend of mine comes to school and we're, well, what's with the television? Oh, it's my folks' old television. They want me to take it to the dump or whatever. So someone got the idea, do your folks have an old television? Yeah, I got one in the garage. Do your folks have it? Yeah, my folks have one that's just sitting in an empty room. So it was to fool our parents into thinking we were doing them a favor. Hey, I'll take that old television and turn it into oh, sure, go ahead. And then we're racing through neighborhoods. We'd wait till we got to top speed. We kicked the television out onto the road. And for a brief period of time, it would skid perfectly, almost catching up to us. And then it would hit a crack, jump up into the air, and be in the treetops, for Christ's sake. It was horribly reckless and stupid. And we are friggin' lucky that we didn't kill multiple children in the neighborhood with this behavior.
Even at 50 years old, though, that does sound kind of fun.
Yeah.
I was saying, if you guys got nothing going on this afternoon and want to go play some runaway TV,
Right. Next time we have a week off, you three are going to go endanger some grade school kids with a modern-day version of runaway television.
Maybe we could go to the track at DCTC or something like that and start throwing some of those TVs out the back.
The one time, what stopped us was one that really scared us, where it didn't fall apart. It stayed intact and rolled 80 miles an hour through 3 front yards. And I think there was some kid with his finger in his nose that watched it go by. It only missed him by about 4 feet. I was like, okay, we almost just made this 8-year-old almost became headless here a second. Let's just go back to watching MTV at Donnie's house,
More anxiety than Hair Jesus at 17 years old tried to max out his 1997 Ford Escort on 94 and definitely didn't consider the safety of others, even though he only got up to about 85 miles an hour.
It just gave way on him.
I wonder, I don't even know how fast my truck can go. I don't think I've gone faster than like 76,
No, there's
77?
no reason to go faster than 60 miles an hour ever in any situation.
When I went to Utah last summer, that was one of the weirdest things about being there was their speed limit on like all of their highways. It was 80 everywhere. You just go 80. Doesn't matter where you are. Doesn't matter where you... It was insane, and it made me so uncomfortable.
Because it's Utah, I thought you were going to say the opposite. Like they maxed out at like 60 miles an hour.
No.
Where was this? In Utah?
Yeah.
You know how fast I would go on that road? 59.
It was cute because we rented a car, and my fiance is used to driving a truck, so he claims that is why he was so nervous driving in Utah. But he doesn't enjoy driving fast.
He does not.
It makes him nervous.
Even though he's a young guy.
He's like you guys. Like he likes it, at a safe, reasonable speed. There's no reason to go
But
that
when
fast.
I was his age, I was still a fast driver. Josh was a really fast driver back when I was his age.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it makes him nervous. So I did most of the driving because it made him uncomfortable.
You don't mind going fast.
But like I didn't really like that it was 80 everywhere. Like even when it was raining, people were going 80. That kind of sketched me out. But
You ever gone to Chicago?
Yeah, but I haven't drove.
Jesus balls.
The most scared I've ever been was actually Milwaukee. I've driven in Chicago, Los Angeles, but Milwaukee was the most scared I've ever been.
Chicago? I'll steal a line from my dad. It was like somebody was up on a ladder waving a green flag when you get within about 30 miles of Chicago, all the way into the city. Your fiance, Ashley.
Yep.
Ask him tonight if he thinks Dana's wife should get a job for the summer.
He'll probably say yeah. I think I can speak for him.
I like that it came back to that. So as far as speed limits, what Minnesota city should raise the speed limit just so you can get through it as fast as possible? If you don't want to stick around at 55, you need to get out of there.
Burnsville should be 120.
We got 2 votes for Burnsville.
That's awesome, yeah.
What's funny, I was telling you folks earlier that yesterday I made a trip to Blooming Prairie to pay respects to a family friend who grew up there, and he passed away recently, and we went down to Blooming Prairie. So, of course, we started 35 and went south and went through Burnsville. And I was riding with Lanahan. You guys know Lanahan.
Yeah.
And when we got into Burnsville, I think Lanahan turned to me and said, "Remember when this town didn't suck?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "There was a time when we were kids that Burnsville didn't suck, but now it sucks."
Yeah, Burnsville Center used to be a hot spot.
So that's your answer, Josh. Burnsville.
I didn't give an answer yet. Those 2 gave the answer at Burnsville.
Oh, I should say that's your answer. What did I say?
You said that was my answer. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying there's an answer to my question.
That's the answer to your question.
Everyone says Burnsville.
Everyone says Burnsville. They all hate it.
Sorry, Burnsville.
I mean, I think there's probably a couple people in Burnsville going, yeah, I get it.
How about 35 near the XL Energy Center? So, because you know how difficult it is to get out of there when a concert or a hockey game is happening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good answer.
I like St. Paul, so I don't mind. I don't mind being down there.
Nobody likes St. Paul.
Oh, I do like St. Paul.
I don't know anybody.
But,
Here's something, as we continue on with the stupid news, here's something only a real serious idiot would do. We're sticking with highway behavior here. That's my best attempt to put a title on our conversation. A dode riding down the road as a passenger inside a rented purple Lamborghini was caught on somebody's dash cam video. Sorry. This guy was caught on somebody's dash cam video firing gunshots out the window of that Lamborghini, and he got himself arrested for that. This doofus goes by the name of Hassan, and he cut loose with his little Lambo-pops.
Cool.
In a place called Dearborn, Michigan. The Hassan guy, once the cops got a hold of him, they found out he has all the legal permits and whatnot to carry a gun, but apparently he couldn't help himself. And you're going to love this. He said he fired the weapon out the window, pop, 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 to celebrate a wedding he was on the way to. Now, here's a guy who really likes weddings.
Pre-celebrating.
I've never met a guy who's that giddy over attending a wedding. A cop over there in Dearborn said there's a habit in that neighborhood of people renting vehicles and celebrating on their way to weddings. They stop and block traffic and fire a gun out the window Yay, a wedding! I don't get it.
That is weird.
Who started this?
It's like a trend. You rent a fancy vehicle to go to a wedding, and then you fire a gun out the vehicle. I don't understand. I guess
sounds expensive.
I got to go to a wedding in Michigan. It must really be something that people are going this far to.
What the heck?
The cop went on to say, we tracked the vehicle to a local venue and we impounded it, which is funny. Dude comes out after the wedding reception over and his rented Lamborghini is gone. Reckless discharge is the charge that Hassan is looking at.
This doesn't sound like something that would be happening in Michigan.
More Burnsville?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I've been to Detroit once. Now, it was for a Kiss concert at Tiger Stadium, the old Tiger Stadium. This is 25 years ago.
And you drove, too, didn't you?
We drove to Michigan. We drove to Detroit for this Kiss concert. And I don't know, Ashley. I'll just say this much. I had never seen that many men in jean shorts in my lifetime in one place.
Oh.
And not even good-looking jean shorts.
Sucks.
So the cops over there say it's not just wedding parties they're concerned about with this gimmick. They say teenage kids are also renting douchey sports cars and acting like numbnuts. The cops said, parents, don't rent these cars for your kids for graduation because nothing good is going to come of it. This is all new to me.
They are probably right. Nothing good is going to come of it.
I'd be embarrassed to admit that crime to my pals if they said, what the hell did you get arrested for? Oh, I rented a Lamborghini and fired a weapon out the window because I was so pumped to go to a wedding.
Yeah.
They'd say, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
I'd be more excited for the Lamborghini. I did look into renting one of those bad boys once. Woo, man, was that expensive. Had to turn it down.
Just to rent it, huh?
Yeah, it was like $900 a day.
Whoa.
I couldn't do that one.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to look like a douchebag for the day.
It's worth it to look like a douchebag, to drive something like that.
Hey, I don't need to spend $900 a day to do it. I just do it for free.
Yeah, whatever you paid for that outfit, it's proof.
Here we go again with one of these. Another lesson that goes to show you it ain't over till it's over. A woman in the godforsaken Czech Republic was declared dead by a coroner, but then once she was stuffed into a coffin, she moved, and she was still breathing. Here's the deal. She's an 88-year-old lady. Her husband found her unresponsive in bed one day. And I know what some of you are saying. You're saying, my wife is always unresponsive in bed. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. That is funny. But I got to get back to the story. Dude found his elderly wife out cold, unresponsive. He called the paramedics. They came over to the house. A supposed professional coroner declared her deader than Derringer. But when they picked up her carcass to toss her into a coffin, she started squirming around. The new guy, paramedic, went straight to the corner of the room to puke his guts out. So instead of taking her to the funeral home, they took her to the hospital. Husband had to cancel his tea time.
Frustrating.
And this is a thing. We hear about it a lot.
Doesn't seem to ever happen here, though. I don't remember.
That's good.
Maybe we're just better at covering it up. I don't know. But it does seem like it's always India, China, someplace outside of here.
You're right. According to a place called the Cleveland Clinic, whoever that is, this what's the word, Josh? This event, I guess, where you are pronounced dead and then you come back, you're twitching around and you're breathing again. It's known as the Lazarus effect. Have you heard of that before, the Lazarus effect?
I have not.
Yeah.
When we talked about these stories.
Yes. It says here this horror show usually happens after someone has a cardiac arrest type of a deal. And then someone dumps a round of CPR on the body. The patient is pronounced dead, but then sometime later, the body will begin to show signs of life, and everybody screams and runs for their lives because they believe the zombie apocalypse.
Wouldn't you always kind of look at that person a little different and wonder, like, is this a pet cemetery thing? Are they the same person that they were before?
What are you?
Yes, 100%, Josh.
How did you do that?
Yeah, anytime there's something a little off about that person, I would think, oh no, an evil spirit has possessed
this is because you've died.
You are no longer the person I knew.
All right, according to the National Institutes of Health, there have been 74 confirmed cases in the United States over the last 40 years. In other parts of the world, I think Josh is right. We seem to find out and hear more stories about this from other parts of the world, far away places. It's still unknown exactly how or why the Lazarus effect happens. Usually you die of a heart attack. They pump you up and down with the CPR. Some time goes by, and then suddenly you come back to. So that CPR has like a delayed effect on the body or something like that?
Can you imagine the amount of times folks didn't figure out the Lazarus effect was going on? Just clawing yourself out of that coffin.
Oh, gosh.
So you're saying you imagine that a number of people have been buried.
I would
and
think
then
even
come
more than we know that have made it.
They're zipped up in the bag. Because they probably wouldn't get as far as to be buried, but maybe zipped up in the bag in that rack, in that cooler.
Well, what if they're buried? I mean, what if they get it's all done?
Well, I suppose if...
Or they're cremated or whatever.
You come back 3-4 days later, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know how long it takes from death to cremation.
I'd rather wake up in the bag.
Yeah.
Than in the...
You've woke up in the bag before.
Jesus, yes. All right, do I have time? I don't have time for any more. What?
Maybe one.
You can save it for tomorrow.
You're not the friggin' boss of me. What are you doing?
And also, that was very non-committal. As if you weren't going to take responsibility if somebody got mad.
Exactly. I was going to go either way.
What do you think Dana's wife should do this summer for a job? 651-989-9393. What are your ideas?
Does she have any other skills outside of being a wonderful teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's very skillful.
I mean, like, give us an example.
I mean,
you can't say that in a job interview.
I mean, anything around the house, she does everything. I do nothing. Yard work, she's the master at it.
Like she's handy.
Yeah, well, very handy.
Maybe she should be a landscaper.
Yeah,
she could be. Yeah.
How come you're not doing any yard work?
I help.
In what way?
I love.
Like you bring her lemonade and
Dana, you sound like me when I talk about like when I was younger and somebody would ask if I do yard work with my mom. Like,
I supervise. I play with the dog, keep him out of the way of
she's
messing with her.
redoing what you've already done.
That's usually what happens, Ashley, is I don't do it well enough.
Sports on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
And Lee hammers one to right, down the line, deep in the corner. This one sending Lucas near the wall, and that is gone, a home run. So Brooks Lee ties it up with his 5th home run, his 2nd hit today, and his 3-3.
Yeah, there you go. It was good for the Twins to snatch up a win yesterday after losing the first 2 games of that Toronto series. They got her done at Target Field by a 6-3 final. There you heard Brooks Lee was part of, I think, a back-to-back dong type of a situation. Who was that? Vasquez and then Brooks Lee. They got today off. They host the Texas Rangers starting tomorrow night. NBA finals is squared up at 1 win apiece. Oklahoma City won pretty big last night. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup final is tonight, 7 o'clock on the TNT channel with 1 win apiece there. So Dana's wife is a teacher. School is out. She refuses to work this summer. I don't understand. Why wouldn't... that's unfair to Dana. Go do something, for Christ's sake. I asked our listening audience, what kind of gig should Dana's wife take this summer? 651-989-9393. Here are the most popular answers. Lifeguard. I don't know why.
Summer job.
It is the season for it.
And it kind of seems like something a teacher would do for whatever reason. They're looking after kids.
I had some teachers who were lifeguards in the summer back in the day.
She'd probably be like the manager, though, because I think most of the lifeguards I see are like 16,
That's what I was going to say. Most of the lifeguards I see are 9th graders.
No, that's a good point.
There's always like 2 older people, but otherwise, they're all kids. I wanted to do that so bad when I was younger, but I was too lazy to take the classes.
That would be just interesting. So who are your coworkers? Oh, there's Corey. He's a ninth grader.
Don't get me started on Corey.
Yeah, and
Mrs. Wessel.
And then there's Braden, Shaden, Raiden, Caden, and Layden are also on staff.
And a lot of drama with those kids,
I
too.
bet there's so much drama within the lifeguards.
Girlfriend swapping and whatnot.
Yeah.
The most popular answer, what kind of job should Dana's lazy wife get this summer? Lifeguard, OnlyFans, mall cop.
Your wife is very attractive, and I'd imagine an attractive teacher on OnlyFans would do pretty well.
Probably tough to get that gig back, though, come fall.
They don't have to know about it.
Oh, yeah, they have a problem with that, huh?
Quick question, Dana. Does your wife have any bow staff skills?
What? I like the mall cop idea. I have a mental image of her on one of those, what are they called?
Segways?
Yeah.
I want to be a mall cop someday.
Mall cop. You should have been a real cop, Josh.
No, I don't think I could do that.
Real quick, before we go, we were talking about the Lazarus effect in our stupid news report, which is where you die. We all die someday, Josh.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Someday you're going to die, and you're going to die ugly. Okay? We all die. But the Lazarus effect is when you check out, you stop breathing altogether. No pulse, no nothing. Where am I going with this? And then an hour later, you breathe, you're twitching, you're moving, you're alive. It's the Lazarus effect. There's no real explanation behind it. And Josh brought up the very scary thought of, I wonder how many poor bastards over the years have been pronounced dead. They zip them up in the bag, whatever. They dump them into the ground in a coffin, and then they wake up. Hey, what the hell's happening? I'm alive, right? How horrible would that be?
Awful.
Josh, did you know the friggin' brotherhood and sisterhood, they always know the coolest stuff. Did you know that years ago, according to one of our listeners, they used to put a little bell in the coffin, so if you came back, you'd ring that bell, and that's where the saying dead ringer came from.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I did know that.
I'd never known that.
Teacher Jesus texts that in. A lot of people knew that.
Teacher Jesus, I wonder what he's doing this summer.
Jesus, sorry, Teacher Jesus.
Does she have a summer job?
Educating folks on the radio, apparently. Yeah, a lot of people text that in, or graveyard shift, those that would listen for those dead ringers overnight.
I imagine being that character, that's your gig, and months go by, you don't hear a thing, and then suddenly, one night, which tells you there's someone in a casket who is awakened. That would be one hell of an experience.
Yeah.
Nick, I could picture you bringing like a small bell in your pocket to a service, and kind of just...
You got to prank somebody.
Yeah. Lightly dinging it a little bit,
You'd have to.
What, somebody hear something?
If I hear that bell, I'm not checking.
But that's your job. You're the graveyard shift lady.
Nah.
Love that Danhausen Jesus said the bell in the grave is also attributed to the saying, saved by the bell.
F me running. I never knew any of this.
We're learning, and it's summer. You're not supposed to learn in summer.
That is
supposed to be out finding a job.
Yeah, you should.
It depends on who you are.
Terrific information. We got to take a break.
Thank you.
Josh's news is coming up next.
93X.
Half-assed morning show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Shifting a little money here, a little there, and hoping it all works out? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can get a better budgeter and potentially lower your insurance bill too. You tell Progressive what you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll help find you options within your budget. Try it today at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
The United States Soccer Federation presents the U.S. Soccer Podcast.
Inside the opening 45 seconds. What a goal! Jack McGlynn with that cannon of a left foot.
Never miss a game.
What a start for the United States.
Shot for distance. What a goal.
Never miss a moment.
Exquisite from the San Diegan.
Can he finish? Yes, he can. Yeah!
The U.S. Soccer Podcast. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
You know that jerk across the street who's always got it in for me? Every year, that guy waits to see what decorations I put out and then finds a way to top me. I string lights, he strings better lights. I put out Frosty, he puts out an elf village. I put out Dracula, he does nothing, and I look like a jackass.
93X.
Are you troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night?
Do you experience feelings of dread in your basement or attic?
You or any of your family ever seen a spook, specter, or ghost?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Pick up your phone and call the professionals. Go, Ghostbusters. Our courteous and efficient staff is on call 24 hours a day to serve all your supernatural elimination needs.
We're ready to believe you.
The 32-year-old ex-wife of Ghost Adventures star Aaron Goodwin is going to jail after plotting his murder.
Ghost Adventure star?
Yeah, Ghost Adventures.
That's a television show?
Yeah, I haven't watched it. But anybody watch any of those?
I
can't
watched
stand
a couple
that.
of them, but I don't know what they were.
That crap is just the worst television possible, in my opinion. His wife tried to kill him?
Well, not her. Yes, I mean, she tried to have him killed.
Oh.
And she conspired with a convicted killer she claimed to be spiritually married to.
Oh.
I haven't heard that one before. Spiritually married. That's a new one for me.
They weren't in front of a justice of the peace or anything. It was kind of all in the spirit realm.
Okay.
I don't think it's quite as legal. That's a tax nightmare. Authorities say Victoria Goodwin conspired with Grant Amato, a convicted murderer, serving a life sentence in Florida for killing his family. The two began communicating after Victoria watched a documentary about him, leading to an emotional affair. Prison staff confiscated a phone that Amato somehow had, uncovering messages which revealed the murder plot. In one chilling text, Victoria asked him, "Am I a bad person because I chose to end his existence instead of getting a divorce?"
Yeah.
Yeah, you are. According to police, Amato had someone on the outside ready to carry out the killing. Victoria provided detailed plans, payment schedules, and never made any effort to stop it once it was in motion. Aaron filed for divorce in March after learning about the plot, revealing she spent their savings trying to keep that plot quiet. In court, he described his devastation, recounting how he discovered the affair and the depth of betrayal. He said Victoria had been spiritually married to Amato and referred to Aaron as her first husband, even though they weren't yet divorced and he was still alive.
Well, I don't really get this.
When Victoria addressed the court, she said, "This is my rock bottom. I'll never forgive myself." She was sentenced to a minimum of 3 years in prison.
So she's insane.
At least she said that it was her rock bottom.
Well, yeah, I'm glad it doesn't get worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Most time when we're talking about these type of, level of crazy people, they don't admit that what they did was like, hey, you're right, that was bad.
Because either one of those could have been a rock bottom. The plotting to kill your spouse or being spiritually married to a man you're attracted to because he killed his entire family.
Yeah.
When you put it like that.
Yeah.
That's tough to follow. There's people out there that's just...
Social anxiety, Jesus says she's nuts, but hot as F.
Is that a factor?
That's probably why she only got 3 years. Maximum of 7.5.
Good-looking people always... catch a break. What's the name again?
Of the woman?
The lady, because if she's AF,
then
Ashley and I should be looking her up.
Victoria Goodwin.
All right. I'll be back with you here shortly. Ashley, I'm sure will be there quicker than I am.
Oh, yeah, she's cute.
Dana won.
Very pretty.
Good win. And...
maybe not like get away with murder pretty, but
Ashley has standards.
She's a
she
pretty,
is pretty.
A pretty lady. She does not look like she's totally out of her mind.
No, she looks like she'd be a really nice girl too.
She looks like she'd be very helpful in a library. She could point you in the right direction.
No way. I was just going to say that she looks like she likes to read books. It's perfect.
She looks like she'd be very helpful in a red room. Isn't that what they call it, Josh?
Red room?
Red room? Sex room.
Oh, with like the... oh, yeah. Yep.
Red Room, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
A popular local radio DJ in Virginia found himself in the middle of an active crime scene while committing a crime himself. 43-year-old Brandon Stokes, best known as Shaggy in the Virginia Beach area, hosts a morning show on Z104.
We've heard worse. Let's not laugh at Shaggy too hard.
I think it's cool.
He's also the owner of a skating rink in the area, which he was reportedly trying to access last week. At the same time Stokes was driving through, police were investigating a shooting, so the area wasn't accessible. He tried to drive through anyway, and he was drunk. According to court documents, officers stopped Stokes while he was in his car about 9:30 a.m. Wednesday, drunk. They informed the DJ several times he couldn't drive through the area because an investigation was underway. In response, he became belligerent and spewed profanities at the officers, reportedly saying, "You want to bet?"
According to court records, police said Stokes became belligerent and slurred his words when he was stopped from driving through the crime scene to his property. Records also show Stokes had a .18 blood alcohol content on a breath sample, more than twice the legal limit.
He was arrested and charged with DUI and obstruction of justice, booked into the county jail, and bonded out in time to get back into the studio Thursday to host his morning show.
Did he get fired?
Not yet. Well, I guess
he's probably going to get fired.
I put this together on Saturday, so I'm not sure if he has sense.
One of us would probably get fired for that.
Oh, for far
I would
less.
hope so.
Did he tell the cops, look, you're dealing with Shaggy here from the local morning show?
Yeah, I'm not sure if
I hope he pulled
threw that
hard.
out, but he did say you want to bet.
You want
Bet.
You want to bet. Yeah, you can't go through here. Oh, is that right? I'm in control. Shaggy says so.
Word.
For years, a Texas doctor played the villain in a real-life medical melodrama, swapping a stethoscope for a scam. The so-called healer diagnosed hundreds of healthy patients with fake chronic illnesses. His bogus bedside manner banked up $118 million in phony insurance claims, with over $28 million actually paid out. Meanwhile, his unsuspecting patients suffered severe side effects from treatments they didn't need. Strokes, liver damage, dead jawbone tissue, haven't heard of that one, and chronic pain which upended their daily lives. And the doctor used that money to fund a lavish lifestyle, complete with luxury cars, a private jet, and 13 properties.
Boy, you're not looking so good there, pal. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, this is going to be expensive.
Yeah, this is going to be a keeper. You might not make it.
I mean, how many properties, what kind of lifestyle do you need to do this to people?
How many millions of dollars came his way?
He made off with $28 million.
Yeah, that's a pretty lavish lifestyle right there.
In addition to victimizing patients, investigators say he also abused and manipulated his employees. But now justice has finally caught up with him. The 68-year-old's been sentenced to 10 years in prison, 3 years of supervised release after pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit fraud, healthcare fraud, and conspiracy to obstruct justice.
That's pretty sleazy.
Yeah. In a case that's ticking off taxpayers, a former Florida police chief is under investigation for swapping justice for jewelry, blowing millions in department funds on luxury watches, of all things. Between 2015 and 2021, the ex-chief rerouted $2.8 million earmarked for undercover ops. 2.6 of that is still unaccounted for. On top of that, over $1 million from court-awarded civil forfeitures has also mysteriously disappeared.
And all he got out of it was some wristwatches?
Weird.
Yes, that was his thing.
I will never understand. I mean, a man looks good with like a nice watch, I guess, but I will never understand that obsession with watches or necklaces or I guess jewelry in general.
It's one of those accessories that never crosses my mind at all.
Maybe
so it's extra fascinating to meet someone or learn about someone who really loves a fancy wristwatch. Something that would never cross my mind.
Maybe for me it's because I'm so irresponsible with especially things that are expensive. It's just how it happens. I'm a space case. You guys know this. And so that's why I can't, I have a hard time understanding it because I can't spend money on stuff like that, especially if I'm wearing it. That's going to end up broken in a couple of weeks.
It is usually pretty obvious that you don't spend a lot of money on clothes. But anyway, back to the story, Josh.
I was talking about jewelry, but all right.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've heard people say, oh, well, it keeps perfect time, and I think, well, so does the satellite connection to my cell phone.
Exactly.
Or however they're getting the time. But
It's status symbol.
The kitty cat clock in my house that where the eyes shift back and forth keeps pretty good time as well. And I spent $3.86 on that.
Yeah,
I think you'd look good with a watch, though, Josh.
Oh, I
I'm
don't know.
thinking about it. I'm picturing it. I could see you being a watch guy.
I'm not really a jewelry
Cubby?
Yeah.
Look at what the hell he's wearing right now.
I know, but I could. That's what I mean. I could see you dressing like that, but also having a nice watch on.
He's doing the I'm ready for basketball, even though I have no interest in playing basketball outfit again today.
As my oldest son always says, you never know when someone's going to need my jump shot.
Yep.
I'm going to be prepared.
Josh walks by the park. Some guy challenges him to a game of one-on-one. I'm prepared.
Meanwhile, in a separate case, a former Florida sheriff is now facing felony charges for running a multi-million-dollar illegal gambling operation.
Oh, no.
All while using his powerful position to protect it.
147 checks were cashed, totaling approximately $3,200,000 that were there to fund these undercover investigations.
Well, hey there, lady. How are you doing?
Yeah.
Doesn't she sounds like my type of woman.
She sounds like every woman that I've ever met that works the pull tab counter at the bar.
The sheriff was elected in 2020, continued supporting the criminal enterprise after taking office. Officials say he personally profited from the scheme, collecting a cut of the illegal proceeds, more than $21.6 million.
God, you think the guy, like the doctor scam you were telling us earlier, you think they would have been satisfied stealing $100,000 or something and then going from there?
I suppose they just get cocky. It's like, boy, this $100,000 came pretty easy. And nobody's even batting an eye.
Millions and millions of dollars. It's my damn.
A 34-year-old Florida man was arrested after he struck a car with his SUV and then tried to bribe responding police officers with a whopping $20, which must have been very hard for them to resist. Police were called to a motel parking lot after reports came in about a vehicle striking others. When they arrived, they found the suspect sitting behind the wheel of a GMC Arcadia, parked suspiciously close behind another car. As they approached, cops noticed an open bottle of Corona, still sweating with condensation in the center console. The driver was sweating too, but for different reasons. He had glassy, bloodshot eyes, smelled strongly of sweat, alcohol, and a generous splash of the pee-pee.
Oh, sweat.
When asked to put the SUV in park, he instead turned the ignition off while it was still in drive, causing it to roll forward. One of the officers had to reach in and shift it into park himself before asking the urine-soaked suspect to step out. He needed the door frame to balance just to get out, and when asked for his driver's license, he stalled, then made the officers an offer they could easily refuse, $20 to, quote, forget the whole thing.
That is hilarious. Here you go, boys. Go to Culver's.
20 big ones. 20 buckaroonies.
Mm-hmm.
He agreed to a field sobriety test, but bizarrely laughed through most of it, which didn't help his case.
That's scary.
What the hell was he laughing at?
I don't know.
I don't like
hammered.
that.
This is fun.
Makes me think of the Joker.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'd be nervous if I was those cops.
After failing the test, he slapped an officer's wrist when they tried to escort him to a bench, then threatened to shoot the officer in the friggin' face.
What? A minute ago, he was laughing.
Yeah, I don't know. He's all over the place. The woman.
Well, when you got that kind of money.
Yeah, that's FU money.
Yeah,
right
you're
there.
a little different when you got that kind of money.
And I love it too. Hey, let's forget this thing ever happened, boys. You could split that 10 each, or however you want to do it. The woman whose vehicle he struck declined to report the incident. She said her car only had minor damage.
Who's laughing now, right, Cubby? 20 big ones.
Wow. Yeah.
$20.
He had that all to himself.
Possibilities.
20 donuts.
Yeah, I'm picturing the cops just going back to the squad. What do you think, man? I mean, that's $20. 20 whole bucks.
I guess depending on what day of the month it is, I could use that $20. Yeah.
It's coming up a little too close to payday.
Yeah.
I got to make this stretch a couple days. Natalie Portman, 44 today. Johnny Depp, 62. Michael J. Fox, 64. Best of luck to my buddy Ken. He's spending a couple days this week at Mayo for a checkup. Nothing but good news there.
Ken?
Yep.
I didn't know you had a buddy named Ken.
Yeah, I've
cool
told
name.
you about Ken.
I've never heard you say word one about Ken.
Sometimes I'll come in and be like, what up, Ken? And you're like, oh, your buddy Ken. You talk about him all the time.
Never heard you say word one about Ken. So what's the story here?
He had a transplant. And he's going to Mayo to get that checked up.
I'm sure he's going to be fine. But what I'm asking you is, why don't you ever mention Ken?
Why? I do mention Ken.
I've known you for 30 years. I've never heard you once talk about Ken.
All right, fine. I made him up.
Why would you make up a story?
Because I only have 2 friends other than you guys, and I say their names all the time. And so I have to throw out another name so you guys don't think. Because there was a day last week I told a story, and someone's like, oh, is that Ben?
Oh.
And Nick's like, no, that's Joe. Because I've got 2 friends.
Yeah, that's true. Those are the 2 of them right there.
So you really know a guy who's going to Mayo or not?
Well, I'm just playing the odds. It's a famous clinic. There's probably somebody there named Ken, and maybe we'd be friends. No, there really is a Ken, and I'm really hoping he does. He's going to do fine. He's my buddy. I can show you the text.
I'd like to see proof of this, honest to God.
I'll show you some text.
Let me see a picture of him.
My phone just died. It's the weirdest thing.
The 2 of you next to each other.
Do you know, Josh, you remember me talking about my old pal, Sylvester?
Never once.
Right, because I don't have a friend named Sylvester.
Oh, that's weird, because I do, and he's at Mayo.
No, you do.
Happy belated birthday to Rug Burnt Nipples Jesus from UFO Mofo Jesus. Happy 32nd to podcaster Nick. And happy birthday to Harley K today. Turning the big 07 from Mom and Dad Goat Trucking Jesus.
If you're going to make up a friend, maybe choose a name that hasn't been grossly out of style since 1966, you know what I mean?
He was probably born in 66.
Well,
Ken and I go way back.
You have an older friend named Ken.
If you would have said my friend Matt or Mike or John or Steve, I wouldn't have said a word.
Well, you know what? That's so true, Nick.
Right.
The fact that you said Ken,
Like,
it made
wait a
it
minute.
stand
I
out a
don't
little
ever
bit more.
Let's see if we can loop through the birthday song a 3rd time with this conversation.
Yeah, I should have cut this so short.
It just struck me as odd, but you explained yourself. I
got to make a note. I forgot when making up a friend's name. Don't have it rhyme with the only friend of yours they know. Wait, I can't say Ben. I got to say Ken. And that's 93X News.
Coming up next, we'll talk sports with Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder.
Right now on the Luther Bloomington Kia text line, text the word BOAT, B-O-A-T, to 651-989-9393 for a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the 93X Hams Booze Cruise on Friday, June 27th on Stillwater Riverboats. Prize provided by Warner's Dock and Red Wing Shoes. The only way aboard is to listen and win. Head to 93x.com for more info. This contest keyword is good through Friday, June 13th at 11:59 p.m.
Randy Shaver.
There's always something new with him. He's an embarrassment to himself. This guy's, he comes around this community. He thinks he runs in here.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
They only lost 2 in a row twice in the regular season. They have yet to lose back-to-back games in this playoff run. The NBA Finals are tied at 1 game apiece.
I don't usually... Was that did a polar bear just walk into the room? I don't usually make these kinds of comments, Josh. I don't really listen that closely to the play-by-play individuals during a baseball game, basketball game, football game. I mean, there's a few play-by-play people that I really like, but I try not to be overly critical. But the lead 3 folks doing the NBA fight, they're terrible.
No, I've seen a lot online saying the same.
It's terrible.
They don't understand.
Hi, Randy Shaver. Hi, Brad Ryder.
Hi, good morning. I disagree on Mike Breen.
Mike Breen sucks.
No, he does not suck.
He's terrible.
He does not suck, no.
Did you guys have a good weekend?
He does not suck.
He's terrible.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Do you guys know Ken?
Yeah.
Randy and Brad?
Ken?
Do you know Josh's friend Ken?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Ken from Ken and Barbie.
No, not Ken and Barbie.
Yes, I know Ken.
You do, Randy? Good.
I do, yeah. Good guy.
He is a great guy.
I can't tell if he's serious or not.
For those who were listening a few minutes ago, Ken has contacted the program. He is real.
I told you he was real.
I've seen a picture of him.
It's hilarious that he's like, wait a minute.
He sent in a picture of himself saying, "Hi, I am Ken."
Yep.
And then I
And
crossed.
he's at Mayo. You saw that.
He sent it to our text machine. So I said, is this really you? And then I cross-referenced a photo that he just sent Josh's phone. So now we have proof that Ken is real. A weird thing happened 10, 15 minutes ago. Josh was announcing shout-outs, happy birthdays and good luck to this person. And he says, good luck to my friend Ken, who's going down to Mayo for some treatments. Yeah. And I had never once ever heard Josh say word one about Ken.
I have, but
I thought you were making up a friend. But no, Ken is real.
Yeah, Ken is real. Ken wears pink.
Oh, cool.
As real men do.
Yes.
Yes, I thought it was funny that he was so concerned that maybe he didn't exist that he sent in a photo of himself.
Starting to question himself.
I think just to confirm to him as to us that he is a real person.
That is a real person. I mean, a video would have been better.
Oh, yeah. Hey, are you around a newspaper?
Yeah.
It's like proof of life.
Yeah, I mean, with AI lately, you could really...
for Pete's sakes, Ashley, I don't know how to prove this now.
No, Ken is... We don't need to go any further than... Ken is real. It's just, Josh, at times you have lamented the fact that you don't have a lot of close friends. So I thought, oh, my God, it's come to this. He's made up a friend on the radio, and he's even made up that the friend is in need of medical care. But no, Ken is
gone too far.
Real person, and we wish him all the luck in the world down there at Mayo Clinic.
To go back to how the break started, Loss Prevention Jesus has texted in and says, I don't know who this Mike Green is, but he sucks.
Oh, no.
He's not a fan.
Well, it's actually Mike Breen.
Mike Breen.
But I appreciate you being on my side anyway. This made-up friend story reminds me of when my brother's son was a little character. I don't know how old he was, first grader or something like that. And my brother had kind of given me a heads up. My brother said, oh, yeah, my son is he's at a point now where he's making up wild stories. He knows everyone. Oh, yeah, I know that guy. You know how little kids might be.
Yeah, that's fun.
Especially when adults are talking. They want to be able to get in on the conversation.
They're laughing at a joke that they don't understand at all.
Oh, yeah, beer drinking, I know all about that. Right, the kid's 5. So my brother kind of gave me a heads up. So one day we're in the car together. And I don't know what my brother and I were talking about, and the kid's sitting in the back. And we were talking about something or another, and the kid in the back goes, oh, yeah, I know all about that. And my brother decided to challenge him. My brother said, oh, you do? You know all about that? And the kid goes, well, yeah. And my brother says, well, how? How do you know about that? And the kid says, my friend told me all about it. My brother said, oh, yeah, what friend? What's his name? My friend Learnern. My brother said, what was that again? You have a friend named Learnern? Yeah, Learnern. Yeah, okay, cool.
That's adorable. I love that.
The NBA Finals is squared up at 1 win apiece. Last night, the stupid Oklahoma City Tinder. Well, not Tinder. That's where you go at 2 a.m. to get it.
Yeah.
That's the profile you were just updating.
Get a stranger to scissors with the Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They opened up a decent lead early in that ball game last night, and it was never really in terrible jeopardy. They beat Indiana 123 points to 107. So after 2 games, each club has 1 win. And they go from here. That's almost always how it plays out when the favorite gets their asses beat in game 1. They almost always come out and exchange the favor in game 2.
The road team seems happy for a split at that point.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the key last night, I think, was the 2 bench guys who really had great games for Oklahoma City. That was the difference. I mean, both benches play, like we've talked about, and both benches play well. But Caruso and Wiggins for the Thunder were incredible. I mean, they were a combined, I think, 9 for 16 from 3 and scored 38 points. And that was the difference in the game, I think.
Yep. For sure.
See, now here's a listener texting in, Josh, that says they know Learnern, and it's a real person. It's a friend of theirs.
He just texted in a photo of himself.
Show us a photo of Learnern. FTA scored 34 points. Indiana couldn't make that late push that they've been infamous for here in the playoffs.
No, and Halliburton really did not play well last night. Offensively, he wasn't very aggressive. And that's a credit to the OKC defense, which has made it their mission after game one to make sure that he does not take control of the basketball game in any way. He had a better fourth quarter last night, but he was not much of an offensive factor in that game last night.
No, he wasn't. So there you go.
The Pacers again, all 5 starters are in double figures. That's just, I love seeing that kind of basketball, though, where they don't have, where they've got options and they share the ball, and, it's really, to me, this is fun basketball to watch.
I dig it too, Brad Ryder, and good for them. And, so many guys can get involved in the offense. You can rely on so many guys. They're a tough basketball team. They are. They're friggin' tough.
It's
so
going to be interesting now that these games, when these games go back to Indiana, because they played so well at home. And if they can find a way to win those 2 games at home, they can still take control of the series for sure.
Yeah. Game 3 will be played. Again, I'm not sure what's wrong with tomorrow night or Tuesday night. Game 3 will be played Wednesday night.
Yeah, we want to stretch this as far into July as we can.
We have to lead this into the draft. And then we have to lead the draft into free agency. And then we have to lead free agency into summer league. And then, so that's how this goes.
And, the NHL decided to take 2 nights off to make room for the NBA because they don't want to compete head-to-head. Right. So who do they bring out? One of my fondest memories ever of attending a live Timberwolves game was it their very first appearance in the playoffs when they brought Jesse Ventura out the rafters?
It might have been.
Mm-hmm, that sounds right.
One of the first ones. I thought it was a game against the Rockets, and they didn't play the Rockets right away that first year, but it was a game against the Rockets because I still remember the look on Charles Barkley's face because Charles Barkley was playing for Houston when Jesse came out of the rafters.
See, Brad Ryder, I thought it was a game against the Portland Trailblazers.
I mean, I'm not.
But I was at the game. Maybe we'll never know for sure of the team. No. I thought it was their very first appearance in the playoffs, which would have been, 95 or something?
They played in the playoffs with Seattle.
No, not 95. That was KG's first year. So 97 maybe?
96, 97. The first year they made the playoffs, they lost the Rockets 3-rip.
Okay. That must have been the night where, during the intros, the lights go down and there's a spotlight up at the ceiling of Target Center, and Jesse F. Me running Ventura gets lowered down to the court via, what do they call this stuff, Josh?
Ropes?
Well, yeah.
Didn't he come out of the scoreboard?
He kind of repelled is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think he came out of the scoreboard.
Yeah. And the crowd pop was Mick Foley-like. It was just unbelievable, and we were what my friend and I were laughing so much about was as Jesse was being repelled down from the scoreboard, he had all the straps around his body to hold him in place, and it was not flattering on his physique. His big belly bouncing as he's...
According to Google, it was their first ever playoff game, April 12th, 1996.
That was something. So who do the Indiana Pacers bring out for that big crowd pop?
Larry Bird.
Yeah, Larry Bird, Reggie Miller.
No, bring Letterman down in the from the
David Letterman, John Mellencamp. I'm trying to come up with Indiana's greatest citizens.
Axl Rose from Indiana?
Oh, you don't want Axl Rose in that situation.
A little too.
He'll show up late or with
That's a good point.
Yeah.
The actor from Hoosiers, that star basketball player.
Jimmy Chitwood?
Jimmy Chitwood.
Yes, Jimmy Chitwood, yes.
But I bet it'll be a fun scene.
Oh, Shelley Long's from Indiana. Let's get her there, too.
Jesus, criminy. Shelley and Woody Harrelson.
Oh, Mick Foley's from Indiana.
My damn. So many possibilities. I don't know. It should be a hell of a situation. We got 2 days to prepare for it. Back to Tyrese Halliburton, who has become a massive factor. He's been a massive factor for the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs, hitting all those crazy shots. He's made himself a household name, is what a lot of people are saying. There's something just as unique about Tyrese Halliburton as his late game dramatics. He was born on a leap day, Tyrese Halliburton was born on February 29th of the year 2000. February 29th only rolls around once every 4 years. Leap day in a leap year. He's 25 years old. He's only been able to celebrate 6 birthdays specifically on February 29th.
Celebrated so many more than that.
Yeah, I thought that would go somewhere.
Yeah, I know a couple people with their birthday on leap day.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I always thought it was pretty cool. I mean,
Wait,
whatever.
you said you know who knows somebody?
Yeah,
You do,
yeah, I
actually?
do. Yep, I remember it being a really big deal when I was in elementary school, and there was 2 kids in my class.
Did they celebrate it on the 28th?
Yeah, yep, they would just celebrate it earlier because, it would come up because of bringing in cupcakes to school and stuff.
I think if you're born on
a kid.
Yep.
If you're born on Leap Day, you should be able to have like a floating birthday. You can decide wherever you want to celebrate it throughout the year.
Right.
He also has 2 penises.
Whoa.
Man.
Wow.
Nice.
That's twice as many as most people.
Why?
Oh, I could see some
All
benefits.
right, I made that up, but just the original information didn't really grab anybody. I thought I would have to.
I thought it was very interesting.
Oh, man.
Now, I'm no good with arithmetic. You guys know that. By damn, I struggle with arithmetic. And I've seen a couple different versions of this math thrown my way over the last couple of days, talking about the 4 terrific comebacks the Pacers have had in this year's playoff. They did it against the Bucks. They did it against the Cavaliers, the Knickerbockers, and the Thunder in Game 1. Late in the game, you think it's over. They're down by X amount of points. They come back and tie or win the ball game. Each one of those games were long shots. Now, I think this is what they're saying here, but arithmetic confuses me. Someone was talking about the chances to come up with 4 of those type of comebacks in one playoff season. The odds against 4 of those types of comebacks in one playoff season. Now, according to the arithmetic in front of me, even though I saw something completely different last night during the actual televised game, it says here the Pacers had a 1 in 10.7 million chance to win those ball games. 1 in 10.7 million. Being attacked by a bear is more likely. So is being hit by lightning, being dealt a royal flush in poker, competing in the Summer Olympics, and pitching a perfect game in the major leagues have better odds than what the Pacers put together so far in the playoff.
Man.
Bear attack, being hit by lightning. Did we not talk to a listener who had been hit by lightning more than once?
Yeah, I thought he said 2 times.
2 times?
It's the guy with 2 penises.
He has.
Yeah, 2 lightning
That's how he got the second one.
Yeah. Also born in a leap year.
And he's a friend of Ken's.
Good friend of Ken, who's very much real.
Hey, Randy, he's the guy that put Ken in the hospital. Could the Timberwolves be interested in trading Finchie?
What?
Why?
Is a headline that I read.
No.
Could the Timberwolves be interested
They're
in
not going to trade Finch.
trading head coach Chris Finch? Hey, the Vikings were shopping that Kelvin O'Conrad around this past offseason. They were looking to trade.
Not. No, they weren't.
That's what I read.
No, you didn't read that. You made it up.
I didn't make that up. Josh made Ken up. This is what I read. Could the Minnesota Timberwolves be interested in trading Chris Finch? Because it appears the New York Knicks are interested.
Well, the Knicks may be interested in hiring Coach Finch, but I don't think that's going to happen.
They'd at least take the telephone call, wouldn't they?
I don't know if they'd take the telephone call.
They might
to be
not
honest
even
with you.
take that call, you think, huh?
No.
Finch obviously coached Carl.
No, Micah Nori may be a candidate, but I think that job's a little bit too big for Micah Nori to be his first job.
Micah Nori's name, I should say, was thrown into this article as well.
Yeah.
It says here the New York Knickerbockers are interested in making a trade for Chris Finch, and they also have an interest in Micah Nori.
Yeah, they're looking for a name coach, I think, though. Jason Kidd.
If they want to give us Jalen Brunson, we'll talk.
Duh. You don't think that Mike Inori's ready to coach?
No, I didn't say that. I think he is ready to coach. I think the Knicks' job is probably not a job for a coach for the first time to ever be a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're looking for a big name, like a Jason Kidd,
Mike Malone.
Chris Finch, Mike Malone. I just think that job is so much in the spotlight.
Well, yeah,
I just don't think that Mike.
They're lunatics out there. Any head coach, any starting quarterback, starting point guard
is definitely ready to be a head coach, though. That is for sure.
Yeah, I don't want him to go anywhere, though.
I don't either.
This particular article that I read said that the Knicks are not interested in Mike Malone. Now, a few people have already texted in to our program saying they've heard the Timberwolves are interested in Mike Malone.
That's only because Conley came from Denver. I don't think that's
right. Now, the other connection there in New York, other than Carl playing there, is Gerson Rosas. Works for the New York Knicks. And he used to be here with the Timberwolves and all that. Brad Ryder, you knew the man, right?
Let's not talk about him, or I'm going to have to.
Brad will excuse himself.
Let's get Brad going.
No.
Not a fan?
No.
I'm not a fan of most people that fired me either.
No.
Well, that list is long.
Well, you're trying to lead me down the path that I shouldn't go down.
We haven't said a word.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're leading yourself down.
Something he said, something he did. Now I am trying to lead you down a path.
Off air.
Off air. Well, off air's not really what we're built for. We're built for.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not built for off air.
No.
Off air doesn't count.
Off air, as soon as we're off air, we leave.
Right.
We don't know how to do off air.
And forget everything we talked about on air.
And then we forget everything we
I might come in studio.
Well, was he the guy with the girlfriend kind of a thing?
Oh my gosh, you are going down this road. Yes.
Yeah. He was the guy who kind of got in trouble for a side piece.
That's the guy.
Yeah, and she happened to be my replacement.
Oh, right. Yeah, you've told us this story before.
Wait, you were dating him before?
Not a personal replacement, a professional replacement.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He traded up.
I just happened to be replaced by that person.
You have told us this story
before.
before.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the blanks have been filled in. Yeah, they've been filled in.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds that way.
Yeah.
Brad, you're the biggest tease, someone says here.
But in case the listeners didn't realize that, now you know.
Now we know.
So wait a minute. You're telling me there's a rich guy with a side piece that isn't cool? That's impossible.
Yeah.
Most rich
in
guys
this
with a
case,
side piece, I mean, that's kind of what we're all going for, aren't we?
He is not cool. So.
I hear you. The Minnesota Lynx have now won 9 games straight to begin their season. What's the all-time? Oh, I have the all-time record in front of me. The Lynx won a WNBA record 13 consecutive games to open the season in 2016.
13.
So they're going to try to break their own record. Maybe they'll get up to 14.
14.
They seem like they want vengeance for last year's NBA Finals. They're out for blood.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, she's, Cheryl's done a really nice job of putting that roster together again.
Well, there's talk that she might be traded.
There is no
to
talk.
the Knicks.
No.
Cheryl
To the Knicks for Gerson Rosas. No.
So I'm the only guy that wanted that O'Conrad trade in the when the Vikings.
There wasn't a trade.
I did not want that, no.
That was all just BS.
Hey, here's the deal. If you're going to get suspended for an obscene hand gesture while playing basketball, former NBA player Evan Fournier did it perfectly.
I agree.
Yeah.
And he spread it around a little for you.
He did.
A little for you.
It was a keeper. Is this video up on our website?
Yes, it is.
I don't know the last time I've seen something like that. That was excellent.
Former NBA player Evan Fournier. I'm sure you guys remember him. Terrific mid-range jump shot guy. Orlando Magic, and that's where I think he maybe had his most success. He's a good player. Well, now he's playing in Greece, and they are in the midst of their league finals. And I guess I had no idea until I read this article. The Greek basketball finals is serious effing business. It is wild. The crowds are crazy. They actually, let me get this straight. In Game 3 of their league finals, Evan Fournier was ejected from the game for an obscene gesture he made to some fans, and it is so perfect.
It is great.
It is. It's obscene, but I mean,
it's very graphic.
And is it me? Does it feel like that could get out of control really fast?
Yes.
In that place.
Yeah.
Here's the situation, Randy.
Wow.
This was Game 3. The series has already been suspended once. They've only been through 3 games. They already had to suspend the series because of the behavior of the fans.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
So this game was supposed to happen 2 days prior, but they said, the commissioners and everyone involved in Greek basketball said, let's let things cool down a little bit before we play Game 3. I didn't know they were so
nuts.
So Fournier is on the court. The fans are riding him, and he gave the most perfect masturbation gesture I've ever seen on a professional stage.
We saw the ending. He even showed us the ending.
Yeah.
And he was very generous with it.
Yeah,
You're right.
It.
We saw the process,
With
we
everyone.
saw the finish, and he spread it around to everyone. You gotta see this. I couldn't stop laughing at this.
Now I got to look.
And he did it so casually as if this is not the first time he's done that gesture to somebody.
He's good at it.
Mm-hmm. God dang, that made my night last night looking this up. I would like to go see this series if it is so lawless that they've had to suspend the game for a couple of
I bet
days
it's fun,
and
yeah.
let the crowds cool down. That sounds like what sports used to be in America.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be. It used to be mental. We've talked about this up and down at Stanley Cup playoff games back when the North Stars were here. Damn. There were no rules.
Now it's just the rich people that can afford the close-up tickets. Kind of going there just to be seen.
Vikings games back when I was a kid, I said things to adults that I should have been choked for, because there was no one there to straighten me out. Now, my God, you need to put that sign down,
Yeah.
Oh, is there a negative message about the home team on that sign? Yeah, we're going to need to confiscate that. No drinking, no smoking, no swearing at the ball game. This kind of makes me pine for the old days. Brad, did you watch the video yet?
I did. I'm watching the whole thing where there's a hard foul, too. Did you see that?
No, I heard there was some nastiness leading up to it. I did not watch the foul.
Yeah.
Hey, Brad, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Evan Fournier was jacking off.
He definitely was.
Is jacking off.
He played for the Knicks last year, I believe.
Yeah, he's been around.
Did he jack off there, too?
I don't know. Gerson Rosas was there. Maybe he was. I don't know.
Brad is jacking off.
Make sure you watch that video. I hope this Fournier guy comes back to the NBA and plays for the Timberwolves, man. Now I got to tell the story about my 8th grade summer hockey team. Oh, my God. Summer hockey when we were kids. You want to talk about lawless. I mean, we were just out there to hurt each other is all we were doing in summer hockey, and it was beautiful.
Parents just dumping you at the rink for something to get you out of their hair for a little bit?
Well, no. Parents stayed.
Oh, they did? Okay.
I don't know why, but they probably at that point, we all still had potential.
Yeah.
Right? So they thought,
And free air conditioning in the rink.
They woke up to our lack of potential a couple years later. But it was just 8th or 9th grade, so, we're 15 or whatever, playing summer hockey at Victor Memorial Ice Arena, which probably is still a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Okay, Randy, you know that it's still there?
Yeah.
Okay. And all I remember is this. We were playing a team from Osseo, and Osseo had one player who was far and away the best player on the ice. He was killing us. Not only was he wild, and every time I tell this story, people say, was it Trent Klatt? No, it was not Trent Klatt. But this guy was terrific. He was big and strong and skilled beyond. We tried our best to stop him in every way. Couldn't do it. This sumbitch had 4 or 5 goals before we knew what the hell was going on. And he was, like I said, he was a big dude. And he was not the cleanest player in the world. Now, I didn't have a problem with that, but our parents sitting behind us in the bleachers did. And we always hated it when our parents would pop off. We wanted them to shut up.
Of course.
You know. Hey, ref, he's being a little rough out there. Shut up, Mom. You know, we hated that. But this kid, when he's not pumping us for goals, he's hearing our parents beef about how rough he's being out there. And I could see him kind of eyeballing our parents, like, shut up. And we were thinking the same thing. So he dangles in, scores like his 5th goal of the game, just roofs it, skates towards our bench. And again, our parents are directly behind us in the bleachers. Skates past our bench, lifts one leg up in the air, balancing on one leg now as he's gliding past our bench, and did the most massive penis stroke gesture I had seen up to that, right in our mothers' and fathers' faces. Just, why don't you take a look at this right here? We all laughed our balls off. It was, what could we do? It was so perfect, there was nothing we could do.
The leg up is such a pro move on that, too.
Dude.
It adds a lot, doesn't
it? Does.
Okay. Randy Shaver, Brad Ryder, need your help in a big way here because I've always been so confused by the NIL thing, and I've tried my best mostly to ignore it. I have. I've tried my best mostly to ignore the NIL thing and just pretend like I'm still watching college sports from 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So now what I read over the weekend, but need you to fill in the blanks, schools are now free to begin paying their athletes directly.
Yes.
Yeah. Correct.
You guys go ahead. What do you make of this? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
I kind of understand it, but I want to see if you understand it better than I do.
Well, I just think that...
It's like on the bus back in the day.
Hey, you go first to see if you sound stupid.
I think the understanding of this is that instead of relying totally on getting endorsements in order to be paid, right? Because NIL is putting yourself out there to be as part of, Joe's paint shop is sponsoring you and that kind of thing. This just allows the schools just to directly pay the athlete.
But does that then make the student an employee of the school? Or
that's
a good question.
The next thing.
Okay.
Right. Because that I don't know how that works. What I'm saying is that now the schools can just collect the money and then decide how to disperse it.
Okay, sure.
As opposed to a kid getting endorsed by the shoe company and the paint company and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
right.
That's a part of it. Let me try to explain based on what I know. There was this lawsuit that was settled.
That's right.
That talked about it was brought about by former athletes, and I won't get into the weeds on it, but they basically won this lawsuit, and now what happens is each school has a pot of money, and you probably have that figure there. Each school has a pot of money.
20 million or something.
20 million or whatever it is. Maybe I think it's 23, 24 million. Yeah. And they can decide, each school can decide who gets paid, essentially.
Oh, so each school will have the same amount of money to play with?
Each Power 5 school.
Power 5 school.
I mean, not St. Thomas ain't getting $24 million.
Right.
It's a power. If you're in a Power 5 conference, you have $24 million now starting this year in your budget to be able to pay your players. And it is up to you who you want to pay, what athletes, what sport, if you want to divide it up. But you know what's going to happen. And I've talked to people over at the U of M who have basically told me this too. What sport do you think is going to get the most money?
Well, football.
Of course. And what's the next sport that's going to get the most money?
Basketball.
And basketball. Yep. And so if you're a women's softball player, you're not going to see any of this money. You're still going to have to go out and get your own NIL deal like Randy was saying. But now what it's going to create is more bidding wars for that quarterback that's in the transfer portal, that really good quarterback who wants to go play at a Power 5 school. Now he's basically a free agent like he is in the NFL.
So North Carolina has been kind of ahead of the curve on this when they decided to create a professional model for their sports for Bill Belichick's football program, for their basketball program, because they saw this is what was coming. This is the next step, that college sports will look a lot like professional sports. You'll have a general manager, somebody that's in charge of your salary cap, and I use that in quotes.
Right.
You have to have people in place like a professional organization to be able to decide, as Brad was saying, who gets what and how much goes here and there. Will it be equal? No, there's no way it's going to be equal. No. And so it's going to create a whole nother layer of issues with all this. And again, I haven't seen, and maybe Brad has, I haven't seen, okay, who's in charge of monitoring this?
The U of M actually hired somebody during the last academic school year to manage this. I don't know.
No, but I'm saying from the NCAA above. Who's in charge of watching over all of this to make sure that it's not, completely out of hand. So
to make sure they stay within that 20 million,
within whatever the rules.
Yeah. Right.
And again, I put rules in air quotes. I don't know what.
Yeah, there aren't any rules yet. I mean, they'll get to that.
The U of M actually has somebody on staff now to do what Randy described. They are basically a salary cap type person. They don't call it that, but they're overseeing this NIL money. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Okay, I didn't know about the Power 5 conference thing. And if you're curious, the Power 5 conferences are the ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, SEC. So all of those schools will get that X amount of dollars. Okay, we'll see where you're right. I'm sure you're right. It's going to create more problems and make more people angry and confuse more people. I've been confused by this.
The people who are all ticked off about all the money's going to go to those two sports. I mean, they have a right to be frustrated. But what else are you going to do? If you want to compete with Ohio State and Michigan and all these other schools, because that's where their money's going to go. So you're going to have to do the same thing.
All right. Well, there you go. We'll find out more, I'm sure, as we get through the summer.
One last thing.
Yes.
It would be easier to figure this out if everybody was equal, but this is just one pot of money, right? It's not equal because you can still do the NIL. So, yes, Ohio State has $20 million to give to athletes, but they still, on the other side, have that NIL. So it's not equal. They still got a bigger pot than other schools do. It's not like each team has the same amount of money and can only use that same amount of money.
This is just one part of the whole NIL pie.
And where does the $20 million come from?
From the schools.
The schools?
Yeah.
Each of them have that amount of money laying around?
The schools have to find the money in their budget to do it.
Look for a tuition increase.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tuition increase. But what about a guy like me that wants to get a late-in-life education?
You have to pay more?
Oh,
you know what? Follow Josh.
Just have Josh do my homework for me?
Yeah. Josh's friend Ken can teach you.
Yeah,
he's a very smart guy.
There's been a pretty good amount of free hockey so far in the Stanley Cup final. A couple of overtime games to start the series with Edmonton winning Game 1. Florida took Game 2.
Double overtime in Game 2.
Yeah, obviously either game could have gone either way. Game 3 begins at 7 o'clock tonight in Sunrise, Florida on the TNT channel. I read that Panthers star player Matthew Tkachuk did a radio interview yesterday where he personally placed a $100 bounty on the head of Oilers goal scorer Conrad McDavid. He called McDavid the chief punk on the Oiler club, and he said $100 of my own money for the first of my guys that really nails that creep.
That's not a lot of money to nail.
So that adds a little something to tonight.
I don't know if we're going to go Tanya Harding the guy for $100.
No, I don't think so.
And I think the owner of the Panthers said something like, "You can't put a bounty on a man's head." And Tkachuk said, "I just did." And he hung up the phone. Speaking of the old days, how about this random sports fact? Until the mid-'70s, 90% of NHL players were Canadian.
Wow.
Until the mid-'70s, 90% of NHL players were Canadian.
Yeah.
Now it's 44% Canadian. And Josh says that's still way too much.
That's higher than I thought it would be.
Me too.
Yeah, that's higher than I thought it would be.
44% Canadian, 27% American. 10% of the NHL, and this has got to change. 10%. Big, stubborn Swedes.
Oh, come on.
It's always a problem with them. It's always, I want less. And 7% are Russian. Good for the Twins to snatch up a win yesterday after losing the first 2 games in the Toronto series. They got it done by a final of 6-3.
Injuries, though. Zeppy Matthews goes down, so now they've called up Simeon Woods Richardson. They're trying now to, and again, I'll make the statement. I saw somebody talked about this over the weekend too, and I forget where I read it. They got to make a trade for a veteran pitcher. They've got to figure something out. They can't wait. Find someone, because Pablo's not coming back until maybe the postseason.
I would say he's not coming back.
Yeah, I think we can bank on
that. They've got to find, some veteran pitcher out there that's got some tread left that can help them, because if they get another injury, they're going to be screwed.
Well, this was the only bad part about them getting hot in May and putting themselves in a position where if the season ended, they would be in the playoffs. But you're right; they've got to do something if they want to appease the guys on the current roster and say that we're in this thing. You got to go make a trade at some point.
That sucks.
Right. I don't think they're going to do it, though.
Sucks that they're in this spot. You don't think they'll do it? Well,
I just don't. I don't think the ownership is interested.
They don't really have a track record of being terribly aggressive in these situations.
Lately,
that plus you got to find who's out there and available too. And
I think there's guys out there. I think there's veteran pitchers out there. Guys like a Tyler Anderson who pitches for the Angels, or guys like that. There's guys out there.
Well, Dick Mountain got a job recently. We can't call Dick Mountain.
Yeah, what the wild card has done, though, is it's given teams hope longer. So other teams are going to be a little less likely to let go of guys in the early part of June.
My only concern is that the Twins are going to wait too long and not make a decision about this. I think that before the trade market starts to heat up a little bit, where the Yankees and the Red Sox and teams like that start to figure, okay, we need this guy and this guy and this guy. Go get them now before they pluck them, and give yourself a fighting chance here.
They're off today. The Twins are off today.
Yeah, they're in need of a veteran pitcher in that rotation.
They host the Texas Rangers starting tomorrow night for a 3-game series. I'd like a Penguin to throw out the first pitch at more Major League Baseball games.
Yes, please. This was so cute.
Yesterday, the Chicago White Sox had a special guest throw out a first pitch. It was a Penguin named Pepe, and he was adorable.
He seemed like he was so proud of himself.
He was very happy to walk out to the bump. Yesterday was
happy.
World Ocean Day. And
did the White Sox sign him?
That's the joke online.
Join everybody else, Randy.
There you go, Randy Shaver.
That's what people are saying.
145th million person to. Well, Pepe didn't actually throw the ball. Some zookeeper nerd.
But the White Sox pitchers don't actually throw the ball either.
No, but Pepe looked so happy, and I love Pepe. Now, speaking of ceremonial first pitches, this Saturday, Randy Shaver and I will be delivering High Heat in, of all places.
No. You can't go. Are you going incognito?
Of all places, Randy. Oh, I'm going.
I can't believe you're doing this.
Maple Lake.
Maple Lake, the scene of the crime.
Why would you do that?
They're playing for charity, Ashley.
Oh, see.
For charity, for cancer
good
research.
Guy. You're a good guy.
They're playing some town ball out at Laker Stadium in Maple Lake Saturday afternoon. 3 games beginning at noon. And the event benefits the Randy Shaver Cancer Research Foundation. Randy will be dumping the first pitch for the noon game.
That's right.
Before Litchfield faces Avon. And the money trading hands on this freaking matchup is ridiculous.
It is.
Randy will be throwing out the first pitch before Litchfield faces Avon. I'll be doing the same for Game 2, Howard Lake versus Kimball.
Fabulous.
Game 3 is Monticello versus the host ball club, Maple Lake. And I wish I could have had the chance to throw out the ball for the Maple Lake. But I got to do something else Saturday. But anyway, it's going to be a wonderful day. Hopefully a lot of monies will be raised.
Hopefully the weather, because last year this got rained out.
Yes, it did.
This day got rained out last year. So hopefully the weather will.
It's supposed to be pretty nice this weekend, I think.
Come to Maple Lake Saturday for the town ball party. We're hoping everyone can come out and have a good, watch some baseball, drink a few beers. But this is a big moment for me. Our listeners have heard the story many times. I haven't set foot in that town.
It's true.
Since the night of the infamous one-sided town beating that I received back in 1992.
Are you going to go take a selfie next to that chalk outline they probably still have? Just a Nick-shaped chalk outline in the middle of the street?
They have a statue, but it's not standing up. It's him laid out on the concrete.
30-some years ago, me and some bros went to Maple Lake for a street dance. And by the time it was over, every citizen of that town, including women and children and the elderly, had upped and danced on my skull. A one-on-one fist fight that I engaged in that night turned into 30 or so people turning and beating me unmerciful on the filthy streets of Maple Lake on that hot summer night. I had to finally give in and run for my life. I had to dive into the back of a moving van like I was a star of an action movie to escape with my life. The whole experience was a blur. I remember, Josh, a sea of people wearing Camel cigarette T-shirts. I remember tasting my own blood and the smell of beer on the breath of the children.
Didn't you have just a brief moment of hope when you saw the mayor approach? And thought,
I did.
Oh, thank God the mayor's here. He's going to save me and tell his people to knock it off.
Again, it's kind of a blur, and the head trauma limits my memory. Yeah. But I remember seeing a man approach with a sash across his chest that said mayor. And I said to myself, well, thank God. City council has arrived to, and he took a couple of shots at me as well.
Yeah. The cops just put paper bags over their faces.
Why they all ganged up on me to this day, I have no idea, and I've never forgiven them for that. So will they turn on me during my appearance there this weekend? You'll have to show up and find out.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Well, they should reenact it. When you take the mound, all of a sudden 25 people are going to rush the mound.
Like a Civil War reenactment?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
That would be magical to see.
Yeah, you're in some serious trouble because I believe it's Camel T-shirt night. When you throw out that.
Are they still wearing the free Camel cigarette T-shirts out there? It's going to be a special day, and we hope to raise a lot of money, but there's a side story, and it's pretty dramatic. We'll have to see how it turns out. Randy and I'll... You want to come over Friday night sometime, Randy, and we can warm up?
Well, you're the one that's going to need the warm-up.
Play a little catch out in the...
I'm just going to be taking bets on the side of whether you survive or not.
I met the organizers of that at your event, Randy Shaver.
Ryan Grahams is great.
Thank you to Ryan.
Super nice guy.
Ryan's a Brownton player.
Yes, he is.
And thank you to the Town Ball folks for inviting us out. It's going to be... Well, it's going to be something. I don't know. I know Randy's going to... Randy will have a great time, a very comfortable time, I'm sure.
Yes, I will. Yes.
Randy takes part in the beating. He just goes over to get some shots in after the 29th and 30th person go through.
Oh, you know he would, yeah.
If only the Road Warriors were still around. I'd invite the Road Warriors to come with me to hawk an animal.
64 C10 Jesus said there's actually a monthly reenactment club that gets together and they recreate that beating. They do it every month.
They're ready for you.
Who plays me?
Yeah, good question.
Just a one of those resuscitation dolls or something?
Guys all show up in early 90s fashion for the reenactments.
I pretty much was just like a wet dummy, you know what I mean? Just being dragged, you know what I mean? There was... I lost consciousness a couple of Thanks
Having
for that.
grown up in a small town, I can tell you that those things aren't reenactments. They're called the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. There you go, boys. We're going to pull the plug on this operation for now, but we'll talk to you again.
See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank you, Randy Shaver and Brad Ryder. We'll return here in a few minutes with more on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
On 93X.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog, comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Former U.S. Navy SEAL Sean Ryan captures real stories about sacrifice and strength.
We go into this hooch searching for Christ knows what.
Regardless if anybody else does it, will you do it?
There's a lot of things that are hurtful and disturbing.
Can't get anybody to talk about it.
Uncovering truth with the heroes who live to tell it.
There's a saying, there's no atheist in a foxhole.
That was the hardest part for you coming home.
Was.
How'd you get through it?
I worked hard.
The Sean Ryan Show.
You ready?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go.
Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
What in the actual are you guys doing?
On 93X.
Yeah. You know what, Josh?
What's that?
It's a real cool vibe we've got going today.
I agree.
I dig the vibe, and we'll try our best to keep it going for cripe's sake. We appreciate you listening to the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show on this wonderful Monday morning. Let me ask you, Josh, quick question. Day to day, do you have enough to do?
I think I have plenty to do. Yeah, and if I don't, I'll make things to do.
Between...
You like to stay busy.
I do.
Between work and that godson of mine and that wife of yours and that garbage house the two of you bought together and this and that, do you have enough to do?
I do. I think I do.
All right.
But if you have suggestions, I could add something else to my plate.
Everybody give me an answer now. What's something you'd pay not to do? I mean, before we get going, there's lots of easy answers.
My list has gotten longer, too.
I always pay someone else. Well, I don't know if this is comparable. I always pay to avoid many different household tasks because I lack the skill set and the patience. But maybe those answers are too obvious. I'm thinking more like unusual things you'd pay not to do, like going to another one of your kids' boring plays or terrible Little League baseball. You'd pay not to visit your friggin' obnoxious in-laws over the holidays. That's kind of what I was thinking more.
Something I would pay not to do now in the last couple of weeks here are... I would like to pay someone to walk with me wherever I go, come with me, and if I drop something on the ground, they can pick that up for me.
It's not the easiest thing for you anymore.
In your condition.
I was telling my fiance about this yesterday. After laying down for a while or just chilling, not really moving much for a while, I forget about the stomach. I forget about the bump, and I'll go to do something like normal. Oh, I have to scratch my ankle.
And you can't get there.
No, it's bonkers.
You would pay someone now, you would pay not to bend over and pick things up off the...
Yes.
So you'd pay an ankle scratcher?
Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody to come around and scratch your itches?
When you, in your current condition, when you bend over to pick something up off the floor, do you get all wobbly where you almost lose your balance and fall flat on your face?
Yes.
Now I kind of want to take your purse and drop it on the floor and watch this process.
It's a lot of...
Humpty Dumpty?
Yeah. 651-989-93. I'll get there. 651-989-9393. What would you pay not to do? What's something you would pay not to do?
Oh, I have one I bet you'd agree with.
You got another one.
Josh, I'd pay to not have to pee, like not be the one that has to get up and go pee for myself.
Plenty of times I've asked my wife to pee for me.
Right? Yeah, if you're watching like a good movie or TV show.
I got a dog on me or something and I'm too lazy.
Yep.
I'm with you on that. I'd be nice to things like paying bills or dealing with customer service and stuff like that. Let's say you got to get a new garbage plan or something. Like,
yeah.
You know, you got to
Tedious
change your
things.
recycling company. That kind of stuff. It'd be cool to have somebody take care of that.
See, I'm a lucky guy. I never make those phone calls because I don't speak the language. I just don't. I have such trouble with. So my wife handles all of that stuff because she's very professional over the phone. She's the kind of person that makes deals, you know, and makes big decisions in her professional life. So she can handle a phone call with the garbage company or the cable company like that. I don't speak the language. I get very bored and very confused right away. But that's a pretty good answer. 651-989-9393 again if you want to tell us what's something you'd pay not to do.
I mean, there's obvious ones like scrubbing toilets or, you know, some of the gross cleaning stuff around the house.
Yeah.
You know, hiring a cleaner would be sweet.
I was looking for more...
I'd say like
maybe
just
more
errands.
personal stuff. Errands?
Yeah, if I could find somebody to go to the store for me or something like that, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't like that. You don't like going to
hate
stores.
shopping, no.
Or if you're in the middle of like, this happens to me, I'm in the middle of cooking something and I realize I forgot an ingredient. It'd be nice to have somebody just go, well, I mean, you can, I guess, DoorDash from the grocery store, but I feel really silly paying like $20 to get a bottle of soy sauce.
I know we covered this fairly recently, but I enjoy going just to whatever kind of shopping you might have to do. I just like people and being around people.
Do you get excited
not necessarily communicating with them, but just being around people? Like I told you, I flipped out when I went to some mall a few months ago. I like being out and about. Not always, but once in a while. It's a real pleasure for me.
Well, there's certain stores I sure like.
My wife sometimes laughs at me at how excited I get over something simple like we're going to go to Lung's.
I think that's cute. Do you get excited when a new grocery store like starts to open up, or if you see one you've never heard of before?
Yeah, because you know what's in there? Food.
Yeah.
You know, I like food.
Oh, I want to see what they got.
Skateboard Pete Jesus would pay not to wipe his own behind.
Oh, get a bidet.
Yeah.
Floss my freaking teeth, someone said. Yeah, how cool would that be?
But do you guys really actually do that?
I do
Every once
more
in a
often
while.
than I used to.
I ate corn yesterday.
Never once in my life have I, and I never will.
I don't like having someone else do it for you because the dental people, they really kind of mash my gums pretty good.
Whatever.
Maybe they're just sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, Dana, is if you actually flossed, that's like the normal way to floss, sadly.
It's true. There's a regular texter, dental babe, she's this, and I don't want to let her down. So I've been flossing more.
It's smart.
I mean, more means like maybe twice a week, where before it was twice a year. And
20 minutes before your appointment.
The lady at the appointment did it.
It's 100% unnecessary. Don't floss your teeth. Okay. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I would pay someone, says a listener, or I would pay to not have to let the dog out in the morning after a tough night of drinking.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a very good answer.
I'd want somebody to put together a list of all the shows and movies I like and what streaming service they're on, because I get so sick of Googling it and trying to figure out
I'll do that for you.
What's
I do that
where.
every week. I'll do that for you.
Really?
For free.
Dude, can you do that for me too, please?
I work at a radio station where you have to know that information. I'd be happy to help.
That would be so nice. I forget. And actually, Josh, usually when you go through that stuff, when you're talking about new TV shows or movies, I'll write it down on like a piece of paper or my hand because I'm like, oh, yep, I'll remember to watch that later, and then I lose it. So,
you lose your hand? Oh
I need your help, or it rubs off or something.
I would pay to not have to ever make any relationship-related decisions. Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one. I'm not exactly sure what they mean, relationship-related decisions.
What we should do, where we should go to eat, that type of thing.
Oh, that's trouble for some people, isn't it?
What? There's free? If you pay $50 a year to Walmart, they deliver your groceries for free?
Oh, they have like a subscription like that? I didn't know that.
Oh, thank you.
I would pay to not have to be the one to find the damn Roku remote. Where is they lose the remote a lot?
Yeah.
Those Roku ones are small.
I would pay to have somebody make sure I close the freezer, the ice box, every time I'm in it.
You forget?
Yeah, to the point where there was a sign placed on the freezer that told me not to forget. I forgot now there's like 3 signs on the freezer telling me not to forget.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's becoming really bad.
Is this a pregnancy brain thing, or have you always been that way?
I've done it occasionally before being pregnant, but now it's definitely much more. It's prevalent. And yeah, I get shamed at home.
You sounded so sad when you said that.
Because I feel bad. I'm sorry.
That's hilarious.
Back to being a stay-at-home dad, Jesus, in parentheses, because I got laid off, has texted the program. And he says, I would pay to not have to wash my 6-year-old's pee-soaked bed sheets every other day. Well, Josh, tell him that it's going to get better in only, 9 or 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, if it's anything like my experience, if this makes you feel better, by sophomore year of high school, sure, you're going to spend some money on rubber sheets. But yeah, my mom or grandma would take care of that for me.
So go ahead and text us if you have an answer. We got to take a break here in a minute. Here are some takes on the subject, something you'd pay not to do. To fish the hair out of the shower drain.
Oh, I don't have to do that, thankfully.
Yeah, I don't
it's not
have
my job.
I don't have the hair for that, but my wife tends to lose a lot. I don't understand how she has any left.
It's crazy, isn't that?
Oh, this is a great one from Straight Pipe Jesus. I'd pay someone to ask my wife a question for me that I've already asked her and forgot her response.
Oh, yeah.
I'd pay to skip a baby shower, even if it's mine.
I've never been to a baby shower.
Mine's coming up this weekend. I just had my first one this past weekend, and then I got the bigger one this weekend.
I'd pay to avoid all future Zoom calls.
That's a big one.
Those never really bothered me. I never had that much of a problem with those.
Yeah, we've only had a handful of them. I don't remember the last time we did. Maybe last year at some point. But I can understand. If you had to have that often, that would suck.
Yeah, every day. Yeah, that would be trash.
I'd pay someone to take my place when it's time to make small talk with my coworker's weird husband.
That's the worst.
Especially when they just kind of jam you together and assume you're going to be friends.
God, that's the worst.
Oh, so you're Missy's husband. Nice to meet you. And then the guy's just weird as balls, and you're stuck there trying to come up with some common ground between the two.
Yeah, there's some social engagements I could see paying to get out of that maybe you just have no interest in.
Social engagements is a good one. Absolutely a good one.
Like, oh, yeah, we're going to the wedding of your cousin's friend or something. How do we get involved in that?
They're gross, they're offensive, and kids on the road see them.
Half-assed morning show.
Here's the question. The question is, what's something you'd pay not to do? Folks have been texting in their answers to 651-989-9393, and we always appreciate it a lot because you're a funny effing crowd. Here's something I've been looked at funny for in the past when I've said this out loud. Showering is physical work.
Yeah, it's exhausting.
So sometimes I avoid a shower just because I don't know if I can cut it.
Okay, especially for women, especially blonde. People that get blonde highlights. All right, it's rough. Listen to this, Nick. So
I got to hear this.
I have to use like special shampoo and conditioner to keep it blonde and make it not yellow and gross looking.
Okay.
And so the shampoo you're supposed to let set for like 3 minutes. And then the conditioner you're supposed to set for 10 minutes.
You got to bring a stopwatch into the shower.
There, there's like nothing to do. Because you've already ran through your routine, so you're kind of just.
You want to get out of there, but you got to wait for the hair
your
products
legs
to.
Get tired. Oh, it sucks.
I did not know that specifically. Women with blonde, anyone with blonde highlights have extra ahead of them when they crawl into the shower.
And I'm not sure other hair colors probably have other things they have to do too.
Okay.
Just honestly, being a woman in general, you have to go through a longer process in the shower.
One of our listeners texted in and said, well, it sounds like they're okay with the showering, but they would pay not to have to dry themselves off and then lotion themselves after a shower. That is also physical work. It is also
exhausting.
I've never lotioned, but sure, the drying can get some weird shoulder positions that might be kind of tough.
One of the most amazing things. One of the most amazing facts about Josh is he's never lotioned.
Never lotioned.
Crazy to me.
I don't like
your
the
poor skin
feeling of it.
I'd pay someone to wrangle my cat when it's time to go to the vet.
Oh, yeah.
They hate them. They hate going to that carrier.
Oh, they don't want to go in the carrier.
No.
If there was a way for someone to go to like doctor's appointments or dental appointments for you, that'd be pretty cool. If you could pay somebody else to take care of that, but you'd get the benefit. Certainly standing in line, a few people mentioned that.
That'd be sweet.
This particular listener with the elusive cat says somehow the cat knows it's coming, and when we get out the carrier, he will try to kill you when you begin to push him into the carrier. Another text says, these all sound like jobs that Dana's wife could take this summer. Earlier, we found out that Dana's wife, whose teaching job has come to an end seasonally.
Yep.
She doesn't think she has to help at all by getting a summer job. These are jobs that your wife could take.
Little side gigs, absolutely.
How much would she charge to lotion me on every other day?
For you, Josh, for free.
Every other day.
I'd pay not to have to listen to my friend's local rock band ever again.
Oh, not good?
They always have a new song they've just recorded. I'm always the guy who gets to hear it first. It's always awful, and I can't fake it anymore.
Oh, you got to sit there and they're watching you listen to it,
You're a good friend, though. You're a good friend.
God, I hope nobody felt that way about us back in the day.
No, you guys were awesome.
I had a friend, a high school friend who I haven't seen much since high school, and that was a long time ago, who pulled me aside once and said, your show is really funny. I love listening to your show, but I think I've got something here that you guys could use. And he was a very funny guy when we were young, very funny guy. And I said, well, what do you got? And he said, I got this series of prank phone calls that I made.
Oh, no.
And this was back in the day when we could run. And I said, well, yeah, I'd love to. He sat me in his car. And God, I thought for sure this is going to be funny because he was he sat me in his car and threw the cassette tape in. And it was absolutely brutal. And I had to fake it, and it was very difficult. And when it was over, I said, oh, man, yeah, I'll give you a call. I never called them. It was just very difficult.
The modern day version of that is when somebody says, oh, you haven't seen that video? And then they pull it up on their phone and they just hold it in front of your face and force you to watch it. And you got to kind of smile and nod. Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Just a general social media video or their own video?
Or you usually get general social media. Like, oh, you didn't see that clip? I got to pull that up for you. And I'm like, all right, let's watch that.
It also sucks when you have seen it and then they make you watch it again. Why? What reaction do you want from me?
Well, I'll tell you, it kind of... That hits close to home in a different way. It's like when my son shows me an art project or something he did. I can't feign overexcitement. I just have to say, hey, nice job, or I bet that was fun.
It's just terrible, though.
Oh, it's not good at all.
You gave it an effort.
One final here from the brother and sisterhood before we got to go on what you'd pay not to do. I'd pay not to carry multiple things in or out of my house. Something always gets caught on the doorknob, and my kids look at me like I'm stupid. And he has a final message here for his kids. You get up and help then, wimp, he says. I have that problem. I get annoyed at that. Coming into work, sometimes I got the backpack, I got my big water jug, I got maybe a present for Josh or something. And I always do end up getting it's awkward and you get tangled up.
The backpack slides down your arm.
Oh, I hate that.
Oh,
I need to build up my shoulder muscles a little bigger so that backpack has somewhere to hang.
I can't. I get tired of carrying stuff down the basement, that's for sure. I'll tell you what, when our guy Brad Ryder's son was playing baseball, they would you'd pay them to bring you water softener salt, and then they deliver it to your water. And so I'm like, heck yeah, I'll do that. A combination of helping out the team, and then they do that for you. I miss those days. I wish his son would have failed many, many years of high school so I could continue to get that service. I don't know if they still do it, but that was awesome.
They'd carry it into the basement and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So you'd order 6 bags, you just get loaded up. And
the water softener will kill a guy your age.
Yeah, and they're, young fellas, they can handle that
Yeah,
kind of
exactly. All right, we got to pull it. Wonderful Monday, everybody. What do you got over there, Cubby?
DX, she's his texter, smoking hot boyfriend. DX, Jesus, a happy birthday. Just cucking around, Jesus. Texted a happy anniversary shout out to his sexy wife. Cuck around and find out, Jesus. Your adoring husband is happy to spend another year with you. And text the word lucky LUCKY, Lucky, to 651-989-9393, which is your chance to get a 4-pack of tickets to the Half-Assed Morning Show Booze Cruise from 93X, Friday, June 27th on the Stillwater Riverboats. Prize provided by Warner's Dock and Red Wing Shoes. Keep listening because the only way aboard is to listen and win. Check out 93x.com for more info.
93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Hey, podcast pals. Today's episode is brought to you by my friends at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Take it from me as a newly married guy with a very opinionated dog. Comfort is kind of important right now. That's why I'm a Smart Club member of Standard Heating. I get to schedule service when it actually works for me, pay how I want, and choose what fits our home best. Pick the HVAC company that treats you like family, not just another name on the list. That's Standard. Check out standardheating.com and tell them Dana sent you.